Every person in the media, if you are in the media, okay, you need to hire one black worker at your place, and you need to get from that black worker an N-word pass for every single media press event you do. When you ask these degenerate subhuman fucks a question and they don't answer the question like he's doing right now, all of you just need to start screaming the N-word so that it is censored and filtered so that nobody can fucking hear the answer until he decides to answer the actual fucking question, okay? I do not know why nobody has to answer questions anymore in this fucking country. Scream the N-word so that it's all censored and bleeped until they answer the actual fucking question. It is so cringe and stupid that they're allowed to just say random shit after every fucking question they get. Bro, are you fucking serious? No. If you're getting dose 1 and then dose 2 and then dose 3, it's 1 plus 1 plus 1. That's 3 shots. Not 6. That's 3.
Tariffs. Are you concerned that President Trump is losing his grip on Republicans in the Congress, and what are you going to do about it?
No, I'm not concerned at all. First of all, we talked to some of the senators who were going to vote the wrong way, in my view, on this resolution today. Much of their argument was based more on a legal technicality than any disagreement in policy. If you look...
Oh, my God. It was more just, because they thought it was illegal.
Minneapolis?
I wouldn't say that she was paid. I don't have the evidence to say that one way or the other. What I do know is that she was violating the law. And if you just look at the eyewitness accounts, they were saying she was there to prevent the enforcement of the law. She was trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation.
Wait, are there people saying that? I'm not aware of that. We are so lucky. The only thing we can count our blessings for is like the general incompetency and idiocy and ineffectiveness of our current horrible people right now on the planet. Like the fact that Donald Trump is a fucking idiot is probably better than not, because hopefully it gives us a second shot at this fascist thing to not have it succeed. And then the fact that like Hassan is so scared to venture outside of Twitch, like even though he gets all this positive slurping in the mainstream media outlets because of his PR agency, he can't really capitalize on it. He's not able to leverage that in anything. And then the fact that Asmongold is too much of a lazy fuck to actually go do any podcasts is also really good for us. Is his kippa thing, is it getting larger?
That's all of that.
Is it like the stronger your Jew powers are, the bigger it gets?
Let me be clear. President Trump and his entire administration stand fully behind the heroic men and women of ICE and will always uphold law and order in the United States of America. The deadly incident that took place in Minnesota yesterday occurred as a result of a larger, sinister, left-wing movement that has spread across our country, where our brave men and women of federal law enforcement are under organized attack. Right now, immigration and customs enforcement officers are facing a 1,200% increase in assaults, a 3,200% increase in vehicle rammings, and an 8,000% increase in death threats. ICE agents are faithfully enforcing federal law to protect the safety of the American people by removing criminal illegal aliens from our country, which is exactly what nearly 80 million Americans elected President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance to do. Radicals in the Democrat Party are furious over this. They don't want our border secured or criminal illegal aliens being removed. As a result, Democrats are impeding immigration enforcement operations daily, creating extremely heightened and dangerous circumstances that make it nearly impossible for the men and women of law enforcement to simply do their jobs. Democrats are calling to defund federal law enforcement agencies who are protecting public safety. And Democrats are calling to abolish ICE and defund the police. That will never be allowed to happen under this president and vice president. The Trump administration will redouble our efforts to get the worst of the worst, criminal illegal alien killers, rapists, and pedophiles off of American streets. The Department of Homeland Security will continue to operate on the ground in Minnesota, not only to remove criminal illegal aliens, but also to continue conducting door-to-door investigations of the rampant fraud that has taken place in the state under the failed and corrupt leadership of Democrat Governor Tim Walz. Taxpayers have been ripped off to the tune of billions of dollars in this one state alone, And that is going to end, and people are going to be held accountable. The Trump administration has activated thousands of federal agents, doubled the number of U.S. attorneys in the DOJ office in Minneapolis, and surged resources to hold fraudsters accountable and demand justice for law-abiding American taxpayers and citizens across our country. And that's what brings the Vice President out here with me today to discuss all the Trump administration is doing and to make an additional important announcement on this front. So please, Mr. Vice President, will be joining us now.
Thank you, Karoline.
Thank you.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And I want to echo some of what Karoline said about what we're doing to combat the rampant fraud that exists in our immigration system, thanks to failed politicians and thanks to people who allowed the American
Was that a camera?
taxpayer to be taken advantage of for far too long. I think it's important to understand why this matters to the American people. I am a father of 3 young kids, a lot of kids, a lot of people in my generation. What is that going on there? Is that normal? Okay. CNN installed this broken camera just to throw me off my game, but it's not going to work. So here's the simple fact here.
It's working.
If you're a young parent struggling to afford childcare in the United States of America, there are programs that we have to make it easier for your kids to get in daycare, for your kids to get in preschool. Those programs should go to American citizens, not be defrauded by Somali immigrants and others. Make it hard for you to get the access to the resources you need. But number 2, making it easier for people who shouldn't even be in this country to fleece the United States and our taxpayers to begin with. We have actually activated a major interagency task force to make it possible to get to the heart of this fraud. We have Department of Agriculture resources that are focused on SNAP fraud so that people who need food benefits can get them, but illegal aliens and other fraudsters don't. We have over 1,500 subpoenas that the Department of Justice has issued to get to the heart of the fraud ring. We've done almost 100 indictments, mostly Somali immigrants, but also a few others. And of course, we're looking in with broad investigatory authority to a number of the instances of wrongdoing that we've seen in Minneapolis. But we also want to expand this. We know that the fraud isn't just happening in Minneapolis, it's also happening in states like Ohio. It's happening in states like California. And so what we're doing in order to help coordinate this remarkable interagency effort from the Trump administration, but also to make sure that we prosecute the bad guys and do it as swiftly and efficiently as possible, is we are creating a new Assistant Attorney General position who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud. Now, of course, that person's efforts will start and focus primarily in Minnesota, but it is going to be a nationwide effort because, unfortunately, the American people have been defrauded in a very nationwide way. I want to thank a couple of people for their cooperation, in particular Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, first of all, for getting a lot of resources to Minneapolis to start to investigate and prosecute this fraud, really at an industrial scale. We've never seen fraud like this in the history of our country. Pam has been doing a great job to get the resources there to uncover it, but importantly, creating a job like this often takes months, sometimes even longer. When we realized that we needed this Associate Attorney General position, Pam got this person up and running in about a week. We're going to make the nomination hopefully in the next few days. We'll obviously let you guys know who that is when we do it. I've talked to Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who has promised me swift confirmation for this official, but this is the person who is going to make sure that we stop defrauding the American people. Here's one final thing I'll say about this. I've heard a lot of people say that we need a special counsel to investigate fraud in the United States of America.
Never, ever. The whole point of the DOJ and the AG is that they're supposed to be ordered around directly by the president themselves. This administration would never have a special counsel. That's hilarious.
I actually agree, and that's what this position does.
Oh. Okay, with the double mind fuck. Okay.
It has all the benefits, all the resources, all the authority of a special counsel, but with two
But we can still control them directly. Okay.
crucial differences. Number one, it will be run out of the White House under the supervision of
Bro, are you fucking serious? Never mind, just kidding. Sorry.
me and the President of the United States, defrauding the American people. And here's one final thing I'll say about this. I've heard a lot of people say that we need a special counsel to investigate fraud in the United States of America. I actually agree, and that's what this position does. It has all the benefits, all the resources, all the authority of a special counsel, but with two crucial differences. Number one, it will be run out of the White House under the supervision of me and the President of the United States. And number two, it's actually constitutionally legitimate. As you guys may know, the special counsel statute has some major constitutional questions. When we get the bad guys, we want to make sure we get them permanently and they don't have some legal technicality they can get out of, which is why we set it up as an associate attorney general. I'll take some questions, but I want to make just one final observation.
An associate attorney general would be somebody that serves under the Department of Justice. How do you have an associate AG that works out of the White House? How the fuck does that even work?
In here, when I was actually walking out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile?
Then don't have him work the fucking job. If the guy has some trauma related to dealing with suspects, why the fuck would you continue to put him out onto the street? Put the motherfucker at a desk job. Why would he keep working the job? What a stupid excuse.
What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE, I stand with ICE, we stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that...
Do we have any proof of that? Did they post proof of her being part of any radical organization, or...
People in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I wanted to read a quote from Tim Walz earlier today. He said, "When things looked bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held the line for the nation on July 3rd, 1863, and I think we may be in that moment now." Can you comment on his rhetoric and Mayor Jacob Frey and whether they want to see unrest in Minneapolis?
Well, that's very tough rhetoric from a guy who just quit because his fraudulent activities have been uncovered. Look, Tim Walz is a joke. His entire administration has been a joke. The idea that he's some sort of freedom fighter, he's not. He's a guy who has enabled fraud and maybe, in fact, has participated in fraud. That's what this new Assistant Attorney General position is going to find out. I don't care what Tim Walz says. I care about getting to the bottom of this fraud for the American people, and I care about enforcing the nation's immigration laws. That's what we're going to stay focused on.
Unrelated question here. I mean, Democrats have accused ICE of murder. They've said they're targeting Americans. They've told ICE to get the F out of Minnesota. This is going to stoke the fire against ICE agents, and you're talking about ICE agents right now and being concerned about them. What, if anything, is the administration going to do to make sure these folks are protected during these protests? But also, should DHS sort of revisit their procedures here? I mean, nobody wants to see an American killed. Are there changes that need to be made to make sure something like this doesn't happen again?
Look, first of all, of course, nobody wants an American citizen to be killed. This is absolutely a tragedy, but it's a tragedy of the making of the far left. They have radicalized a very small segment of the population, taught them that ICE agents are engaging in wide-scale violation of people's rights, what our ICE officers are doing is deporting the millions of criminal aliens that were let in during the Biden administration. So number one, we have to say, as a matter of leadership, and I would appreciate if the Democrats would join me on this, let's be honest about the fact that we have way too many illegal aliens in this country. Our ICE officers should be supported in doing their job. You're trying to actually marshal the far left lunatic fringe to engage in doxing, to try to make it impossible for them to enforce the law, and in some cases actually to engage in acts of domestic terrorism against our law enforcement officers. When you talk about different plans, different protocols, different policies, I forget exactly how you asked the question. Here's the simple fact. What we're going to do is make it easier for the American people's administration to enforce the American people's law. And that means that Democrats have to stop rallying American people's law. And that means...
You know what it kind of feels like when they do this thing? You know that like North Korea is an actual democracy, right? You can tell because it's called, what is it? The Democratic Republic of North Korea, the People's Democratic Republic of Korea or whatever. Is that like, it's in the name, right? It must be, right? If you keep saying America's people, well, then I guess it must be the will of the people. It must be okay, right?
Means that Democrats have to stop rallying the mob against legitimate law enforcement operations. And that means that we are going to get tougher. And that's what this AAG position is about. We're going to get tougher at the people who are defrauding the United States by inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's one of the things that we're going to do. We've already started that work at the Department of Justice, but we're going to keep on doing it. And this new AAG position is going to kick that into high gear.
Vice President Vance, you just suggested...
Are you even allowed? Isn't the DOJ authorized, that department authorized by Congress? Are you allowed to just add new subdivisions in the DOJ? Is that legal?
That this woman who was killed, Renee Good, is part of a broader left-wing network. Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Well, it's one of the things we're going to have to figure out, but here's the way that I put it. When somebody...
You disavow the violence the radical Democrat raised against a peaceful ICE officer? Listen, let me just say this, okay? If you are thinking about going out and fucking protesting and you want to get violent, you want to riot or any bullshit like this, okay? Make sure you put on a Trump 2028 hat first, okay?
Somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick? And who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity against our law enforcement officers? You see, just with this most recent terrible incident in Minneapolis, you see friends of this woman's or other people who are eyewitnesses saying basically that she was there to engage in obstruction of a legitimate law enforcement operation. How did she get there? How did she learn about this?
When they say that, who paid for the brick, how did she get there? Just because I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but like because we never talk about this on the left really, because it's so obviously fucking retarded. But on the right, they legitimately believe that all of the big protests over BLM, all of those were paid for. That people paid to bring in activists, paid to bring in violent people, and that when you saw people throwing bricks and all that, people paid in advance to set those bricks up so that Antifa could use them to destroy and murder the country. They believe this. So when he's saying things like this, the implication is always that these are paid operatives, protesters, professional Antifa, BLM assassin protesters. That's what he's alluding to.
Of a legitimate law enforcement operation. How did she get there? How did she learn about this? There's an entire network, and frankly, some of the media are participating in it, that is trying to incite violence against our law enforcement officers. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous.
Oh, yeah, and to be more clear, J.D. Vance knows this isn't true. Unfortunately, this guy is somewhat intelligent. Trump might think it's true because Trump is fucking retarded, but like people like him and Miller, they know it's not true.
And part of our investigatory work is getting to the bottom of it. Who's funding it, who's supporting it, who's cheerleading it, and of course, if there's illegal activity related to that, we're going to get to the bottom of that and prosecute it where we can.
Vice President, thank you for taking questions today. Is there a risk with you describing her as a deranged leftist, talking about very specific facts of these events, when an investigation is just beginning? Are you preempting a thorough investigation by drawing such conclusions? And have you received any information beyond the videos we've seen publicly about this individual, her specific acts, that has informed your point of view?
Well, first of all, the Department of Justice is going to investigate this. The Department of Homeland Security is already investigating this. But the simple fact is, what you see is what you get in this case. You have a woman who was trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement.
Remember when disgusting, subhuman pipsqueak fucks like Ben Shapiro were talking to Ezra Klein, who I don't know if it was the Jew thing where he just decided to go as easy as possible. Remember, Ben Shapiro said, I can't believe that Barack Obama offered his legal opinion about the Henry Louis Gates thing before a whole investigation had been conducted, where the cop had arrested the professor in his own fucking home. And I don't even think there were charges filed. I think he got released the same day. Remember, Ben Shapiro said he was so mad that Obama gave an opinion about an ongoing court case. Like, I don't even... was that professor even formally charged with anything? I don't think he was, right? But this stuff, this here, as long as it's not about Israel, is A-okay for Ben Shapiro, for Ben Shitpiro.
The Department of Homeland Security is already investigating this. But the simple fact is, what you see is what you get in this case. You have a woman who was trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation. Nobody debates that. You have a...
Which you just, when he says what you see is what you get, what he means is the conclusion is foregone. They already know. Like...
woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer
Really?
and pressed on the accelerator.
Really?
Nobody debates that.
Really?
I can believe that her death is a tragedy, while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy...
What's the party shows you something on TV and then asks you to not even to believe your very eyes or whatever? Ugh.
Of the far left who has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe against our law enforcement officers. I think what is clearly happening here, and it's going to keep on happening unless the Democrats wake up and say, you know what, you don't have to agree with our immigration policies. You don't have to agree with what the president or the vice president believe about immigration enforcement, but why don't you take this to the ballot box? Why don't you vote? Why don't you organize? Instead, what some of them are doing is encouraging people to get violent with our law enforcement officials. It's disgraceful, and it's got to stop.
Mr. President, just to follow up on that question, and again, thank you for taking questions, Mr. Vice President. There's clearly a lot of emotion in Minnesota, across the country, over this incident. You're calling Renee Good a deranged leftist. There's been heated rhetoric that we've also heard from officials. What responsibility do you and the president have to diffuse some of the tension that we are seeing play out in Minnesota, bring down the temperature as this investigation is unfolding?
What we have a responsibility to do is to protect the people who are enforcing the law and protect the country writ large. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you deserve to have the people's law.
Yeah, and actually, this isn't even the first time this happened, right? Like, didn't they give a similar thing, but we didn't have as much footage initially or something, where it was just a total fucking lie? In the beginning of the year, where they were like, our car was boxed in and we had to shoot or something. And none of this was true, right? It was just a total fucking lie. In Chicago. I don't remember if we have video footage of that or not, but it was literally, bro, we're not even, oh no, we are. Are we? No, January 20th is when we're 1 year in, right?
Laws enforced in the United States of America. Now, again, I'm not happy that this woman lost her life. I'm not happy that this woman was there at a protest violating the law by interfering with a law enforcement action. I think that we can all recognize that the best way to turn down the temperature is to tell people to take their concerns about immigration policy to the ballot box. Stop assaulting and stop inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's the best way to take down the temperature. And we're not going to give in to terrorism on this. And that's exactly what's happening. We
didn't even get through 7 full days of the new year before all hell broke loose. Bro, what are you talking? We've had it's 4 or 5 incidents this year. 1 weekend. We invaded and stole the leader from Venezuela. We had we had this shooting that happened now. Maybe 2. Oh, there was the cargo ship hijackings. Did we just get a second or third one yesterday? Jesus. 1 week. Venezuela, that's old news though, bro. That's like 2 news cycles in the past now. Oh, we had our new January 6th website launch. We redid the vaccine shit. Hold on. Somebody in my subreddit posted a thing that can't possibly be true. I'm not gonna be able to find it. Reddit search is so bad. I've always asked, where the fuck does this 72 number come from? I have no idea where it is. And somebody posted on the subreddit, it turns out if you literally just add together every number on the recommended CDC schedule graphic, it adds up to 72. So like hepatitis B, you get dose 1, and then you get dose 2, and then you get dose 3. Sometimes there's a series given for a single vaccine, right? So it's like 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. There's no way though, right? 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 equals 15. And then if you add all these up, you get to 72. There's no way. There has to be another source for the 72 number, right? Dose count, not unique vaccinations. No. No. Hold on. If you're getting dose 1 and then dose 2 and then dose 3, it's 1 plus 1 plus 1. That's 3 shots. Not 6. That's 3. Okay, here is the source. Okay, hold on. $72. $114. Immunization schedules. No. Hold on. Wait. No. Maybe there are more in here. Is this the same chart? 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on. 3. And then this is 2 more. 5, 9. What is that? Let's just assume you're getting the max, all the shots. Okay. So it would be 2, 5, 8, 12, 16, 20, 23. Assume you get COVID-19, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Is this the new one? August 7th, 2025. Oh, I don't know if this is the new one or not. No, because there's Hep B in here, right? 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. If we count the flu shots, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Hold on. It can't possibly be. Wait, this can't possibly be. Maybe they're counting if you get like the flu shot every single year too, and COVID shot every single year too. At the lower end is Denmark, which immunizes children against 10 diseases with a total of 30 doses by using multivalent vaccines. Denmark's schedule only requires 11 vaccine injections/shots/flea needles. I thought we didn't like multivalent vaccines. I thought we said we hated those. When they combine them, they're bad for some mysterious reason. But do we like those now? Oh, wait, holy shit. By contrast, in 2024, the U.S. recommended routine vaccination against 70 diseases with 84 to 88 vaccine doses, depending on vaccine product and date of birth. Depending on the number of multivalent vaccines used, this required between 57 and 71 vaccine injections, of which the 2 or 3 for rotavirus are oral. For infants also receiving the RSV monoclonal antibody injection, the total number of injections could be 72 to provide protection against 18 diseases. How is that even possible? Wouldn't that be 4 to 5 injections per vaccine? Every single vaccine is a 4 to 5 injection series? Where does this... Somebody link me something. Where does this 72 number come from? It can't be that they just fucked the math up, or that they just did retard math. Okay, the total number of injections is going to be 72 to provide protection against 18 diseases. Destiny, the answer. There are some Twitter notes under this post. The total number is 72 vaccine doses by age 18. If combination shots like the MMR and DTaP vaccines are counted as 3 each, the total amount received by age 2 would be 28 injections. Additionally, the number cited on the left is 11 injections, or 11 vaccines, not injections. What? By age 18... Oh, we're padding a little bit. This number includes the annual influenza vaccine and the COVID vaccine. So this is two additional ones per year. That's adding 36 to the 72 number. If a child gets every recommended vaccine by the age of 18, assuming you get 1 influenza shot and 1 COVID vaccine per year, some of these are combination or oral vaccines, so the number of actual shots is much less. Oh, and this is counting them separately. So this is adding 36. This is adding 36. So we can immediately cut the number in half if we ignore influenza and COVID things, which fucking no conservative is getting anyway. Because like I said 6 years ago, they would become all anti-vax, and they have. They are. Good. Let them. And then of the 36 vaccine doses, it's counting your multi-vaccine things or whatever. It's counting them separately. This is fucking retarded. Okay. Whatever. Natural selection at work, okay?
Trying to antagonize, to commit acts of violence. They throw bricks at them. Sometimes they shoot at them. Sometimes they dox them. Sometimes they go to their place of residence and harass their families. This is classic terrorism. And we cannot say that when a far left fringe is inciting violence against our brave law enforcement officials, that we're no longer going to enforce the law. That's rewarding the very people who are engaged in this garbage. The actual reward that they just got is a new assistant attorney general who is going to prosecute and investigate this stuff even more aggressively than before.
Yeah. Thanks for taking my question. So the head of Minnesota's investigations agency says that the U.S. Attorney's Office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency's access to the investigation. What is the precedent for that, and why shouldn't the...
I'm sorry. If you're thinking of harm caused, there are 2 things to count. 1, number of appointments. Every appointment is 2 hours of work to user when counting time spent traveling, waiting, planning. And 2, the number of needles. Every needle has some risk of accidentally hitting blood pipe. 2 hours? Listen, I'm the #1 hospital hater in chat. I hate going to the hospital. I hate scheduling shit. Okay, fuck all of that. But to get things like flu shots, or for a lot of shots, you go to like your Walgreens or CVS or whatever, and you're done. You're in and out in like 15 minutes. I am the #1 hospital hater. I'm the #1 hospital hater. It takes me longer to pick up my Vyvanse sometimes than it does. Although maybe I was just lucky when I go and get vaccines. I don't know.
Minnesota officials on the ground have access and evidence to work on this investigation.
First of all, I wish the state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous. The unprecedented thing is the idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with is doing
The precedent.
I'm not paying attention, and I'm not hearing the words that he's saying. I'm hearing things that are not being said. It just can't pop. Hold on. Just let me. I just didn't hear what he said.
For that, and why shouldn't the Minnesota officials on the ground have access? His office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency. Thanks for taking my question. So the head of Minnesota's investigations agency says that the U.S. Attorney's Office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency's access to the investigation. What is the precedent for that, and why shouldn't the Minnesota officials on the ground have access and evidence to work on this investigation?
First of all, I wish the state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation.
Every person in the media, if you are in the media, okay, you need to hire one black worker at your place, and you need to get from that black worker an N-word pass for every single media press event you do. When you ask these degenerate subhuman fucks a question and they don't answer the question like he's doing right now, all of you just need to start screaming the N-word so that it is censored and filtered so that nobody can fucking hear the answer until he decides to answer the actual fucking question, okay? I do not know why nobody has to answer questions anymore in this fucking country. Scream the N-word so that it's all censored and bleeped until they answer the actual fucking question. It is so cringe and stupid that they're allowed to just say random shit after every fucking question they get.
The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job. Idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable.
A bunch of radicals?
Because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous. The unprecedented thing is the idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with absolute immunity. I've never seen anything like that. It would get tossed out by a judge. So what I'd like Minnesota to focus on...
I'm sorry, what the fuck are you talking about? You think state crimes, which, by the way, the vast majority of prosecutions are over, don't apply to federal officers? What?
Is the real issue that they're encouraging people. Minneapolis officials are encouraging people to commit violence against ICE officials. It's ridiculous.
There is no absolute immunity? Okay, hold on. People in chat are saying there is no absolute immunity. There's no absolute immunity. There is no immunity, period. There is no immunity insofar as criminal matters are concerned. You're going to see a lot of retarded fucking YouTube lawyers, okay, which translates to people that couldn't hack it in their practice, so they came to YouTube where they can flash their qualifications to a bunch of retards and impress them, okay, who have no fucking concept of what they're talking about. Qualified immunity has nothing to do with crime. Qualified immunity is you can't sue a fucking police officer for doing his job. You can still be charged with crimes if you fuck up hard enough. Remember Derek Chauvin? If you fuck up hard enough as a cop, you can always be charged with a crime. The reason why generally you don't charge cops with crimes is because most crimes, the mens rea, it's written into the statute or it's recognized as the common law, is you have to have the criminal state of mind, meaning you're doing an unlawful thing when you're performing an act. That's why a cop that arrests somebody is not charged with kidnapping, or a cop that shoots somebody is not usually charged with murder. It's because these are defined generally in state statutes as unlawful killings or unlawful detentions, right? Police officers have the legal authority to do this. But if you fuck up hard enough, and it seems like you're doing some bad shit, you have no immunity, you have no protection, you have no immunity there. You're just not breaking the law. This absolute immunity is not a further, it's not taking qualified immunity and making it more. It's a totally different concept because he's talking about crimes. Qualified immunity only applies to civil stuff.
Are encouraging people to commit violence against ICE officials. It's ridiculous. It's got to stop. Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. You said earlier that there's a left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and make it impossible for ICE officers to do their job. You told my colleague just now that there's an investigation.
Who is popping bubble wrap?
You told my colleague just now that there's an investigation going on into that network.
Yep.
So if everything that you say is true, how does being part of that network justify being shot?
Well, being part of the network doesn't justify being shot, but ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way, but when you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is
that funding some of this stuff? Who's funding her? Post the evidence. Post some evidence of this. Anybody. Who is this lady? Is this the Antifa trans super soldier? What is the evidence for any of this? What stops Trump pardoning anyone? The pardon power is granted to the top executive in a particular jurisdiction. So the president of the United States is the top dog for the federal jurisdiction, so he can pardon people of federal crimes. But the only people that can pardon people of state crimes are the governors. So Donald Trump can't the president of the United States can't pardon somebody for a state crime.
Because she tried to ram somebody with her car and that guy acted in self-defense. That is why she lost her life. And that is the tragedy. Now, which
is, in my opinion, why they're taking this so much from the Minnesota officials. I don't know if you guys saw that today. There's an article that went out earlier, and that one of the press people mentioned it, is that the feds have basically iced out all of the Minnesota investigators from the investigation. One is because we can't trust anything the FBI says, okay? Because who the fuck knows? Because they come out and they make statements. How can you ever trust any of these people when they're making definitive statements about people before they've even been investigated, okay? So now the FBI has it. We can't trust anything they say. And then two, there's no justice, because why would we expect, subhuman ghouls like this to do anything, knowing that the president can always pardon them, knowing that they're all under the command and control of the president of the United States anyway? I can't believe he said we have a special counsel. And by special counsel, I mean a new associate attorney general that works out of the White House. Can somebody explain? Your associate AGs are people that exist beneath the deputy attorney general. I'm not a robot, I promise. So you have your AG, your attorney general, you got your deputy attorney general, and then your associate attorney generals in here. How do you have this person working out of the White House? What the fuck does that mean? Can somebody explain the structure of that? He called them assistant AGs. Oh, did he say assistant instead of associate? I thought I heard associate. Well, even assistant AG, attorney general. How do they? What does it mean to have an attorney general role in the White House? What are the odds the ICE agent gets off scot-free? I mean, my guess is that he would. I don't think they're going to charge him. They think about it. How much of your reputation have they already? How much of their reputation have they already staked out on this guy? And now these are the same people who are going to be charging him?
Maybe other violations of the law and other penalties that are associated with those violations of the law. For example, if you are funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing.
Who's funding it, you fat fuck?
That earns capital punishment, but it should sure as hell earn you a few years in prison if you're funding the effort to try to assault our law enforcement officers. What is, I'm sorry guys, what's going on here? You guys are meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself when that happened. Next question.
The investigation is still ongoing.
I said next question.
Mr. Vice President, I mean, you presumably watched the video yourself. There's not the slightest doubt in your mind, having viewed it, that this...
Thank you. Thank you. Get a British guy in here. Thank you. Can we get some real fucking journalists in here? Okay? Get a goddamn Brit in here. Thank you. Can we get some foreign people in here to ask some goddamn questions?
Victim, you still believe that she deliberately tried to ram him despite seeing this video?
Look, I don't know what is in a person's heart.
Oh, wait. What? Hold on. Whoa. What? Record scratch. What did she... Wait, what?
Let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws. You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself when that happened. Next question.
Tried to run him over with the car. Oh.
I said next question.
She tried to run him over. But now...
Still know what is in a person.
Deliberately tried
well, I don't know, actually. Who knows what she was trying to do?
Seeing this video.
Look, I don't know what is in a person's heart or in a person's head, and obviously we're not going to get the chance to ask this woman what was going on. What I am certain of is that she violated the law. What I am certain of is that that officer had every reason to think that he was under very serious threat for injury or in fact, his life. What I'm certain of is that she accelerated in a way where she...
One of the ways that we evaluate, this works in criminal cases, and this works in your own personal life, is how somebody responds to a situation to see what was in their mind when the situation was happening, right? There's a way, even with dogs. Fuck. Where's one of the videos where they come in and they find out there's like, the person has like 2 or 3 dogs, and they're asking like, which dog messed up?
Who did this?
Oh, man.
Who did this?
Sorry. I can't load Chrome! I can't load Chrome!
Cody,
why does it keep freezing? Whatever. My new computer is here. I'm going to build it tonight, and I'll be able to... I have a really good processor. I'll be able to load more than 3 Chrome tabs. What were all the other officers doing? What did the one officer do after he shot? Nobody ran to the person to go and arrest them. None of the other officers were freaking out. I think that the guy in front was literally the only one who pulled his gun. After he shot her, he just kind of like chilled. And then he walked over and saw her and then walked away. Like, doesn't seem like any of the officers thought there was a life-threatening situation going on here.
Ran into the guy.
Bro, Chrome sucks. Use Edge. It's fast as fuck. Is Edge even a different browser? I feel like there's like 99 browsers on the market. You have Firefox, and then you've got 98 different Chromium browsers. Isn't that basically what it is? Is Opera, does that use its own like under the hood thing or whatever? Isn't everything just built off of fucking Chromium now? Is it, except for Firefox?
I don't know what was in her heart and what was in her head, but I know.
Oh, and maybe Brave? Is that on its own? I'm not sure.
She violated the law, and I know that officer was acting in self-defense. It raises an interesting point, though. Look, if people want to say that we should have a legitimate debate about, you know, what was she really...
Brave is Chromium too. Never mind, yeah.
...doing, right? Was she panicking when she drove into this officer, or was she actually trying to ram him? That's a reasonable conversation. A legitimate debate about, what was she really doing, right? Was she panicking when she drove into this officer, or was she actually trying to ram him? That's a reasonable conversation. What's not reasonable is for so many of you to plaster all over the media that this was an innocent woman and that the ICE agent committed murder, which is what many of you have said explicitly and some of you have said implicitly. That's what I have an objection to. The idea...
I don't know what the federal policing powers are. Can maybe they can. I'm curious if ICE can arrest an ordinary U.S. citizen. ICE can in fact arrest somebody for violations of federal law, not just immigration law. So for example, if you assault an ICE officer while they're doing the immigration duties, they can arrest you the same way that they arrest migrants. For any offense against the United States. Okay, so ICE can make general arrests. I'm just curious.
That this was not justified is absurd, and I think everybody knows it in their heart. Yeah.
Mr. Vice President,
in the green jacket.
Taking down the temperature, it seems like political violence is ratcheting up and riots could be around the corner. What steps does the administration have planned to try to unite America?
We are Renee Nicole Good.
People on both political sides are so tired of fighting with each other, and I think all the journalists in this room could agree with me that we don't want to be part of the problem. Do you have any words to unite America?
I know you don't want to be...
Fuck you, you fucking cunt.
Part of the problem, and I think that's true of a lot of you. I'm not sure it's true for everybody, because the reporting over this has been one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen in media.
What are you talking about?
Never seen a case so misrepresented and misreported when you have a guy who was defending himself and is now being treated as some sort of federal assassin by so many of the people in this room. First of all, let me say about crime. You mentioned violence. One of the things we're proudest about is that you saw violent crime over the last year drop by 20%. Why is that drop by 20%? Is it because we're attacking our law enforcement officers, or is it because we in the administration are empowering our law enforcement officers to enforce the law? I think that's one of the ways you take down the temperature, is you make people feel more secure and safe in their person and property. That's why we care so much about protecting our law enforcement, because it accrues to the benefit of the entire national community.
Like from now, ICE training manuals, they should just put out commercials where they fucking hire like Usain Bolt, and they get like the sickest fucking Nike Vectors or whatever to put on cops' shoes. And like the only thing law enforcement does from now on is they just have to run like to the front and back of people's cars. Like that's it. It's just an officer showing up and trying to find somebody in the parking lot, running as quick as they can, and then popping up in front of somebody's car and then start shooting them. And that's like their new law enforcement method. Kill as many American citizens as possible.
Unity. I think that we can absolutely talk about the ways in which, we can lower the temperature by discussing differences in a reasonable and rational way. Again, I'm happy to talk with any congressional Democrat or any of you about our immigration policy, about why I think it's necessary, about why I think it's in the best interest of the country, about why the President of the United States was elected to actually enforce the border for the first time in at least 4 years. Mm-hmm. So here's the problem. That's not the debate so many people are having. They are actively covering for people who are committing acts of violence against federal law enforcement. It is preposterous. The way to take down the temperature is to stop it. Have your debates about policy. Attack me. Attack the President of the United States. Don't attack our law enforcement.
Did you see what Jesse Waters said about Renee Nicole Good on Fox? I think I watched it off stream. Yeah.
Officers, they are trying to do the job the American people demanded that they do. They are not policy actors. They are enforcing.
At Destiny is saying the chick tried to obstruct an ICE raid was a fuck around and find out moment, like you saying the fireman dying at the Trump rally was a fuck around and find out moment. Let me be very clear, because I know that people whose brains are rotted can't disentangle any positions ever. Okay, first of all, okay, this lady that got shot, she should have complied. She should have stopped. And she should have tried to drive off, okay? Number one, I have no problem saying that, okay? Number two, just like George Floyd should have complied with cops. Number two, that doesn't warrant an execution, okay? You can't just shoot and kill, or you can't sit on a dude's neck for 10 minutes until he dies, all right? Insofar as the Trump rally went, whatever I said about the firefighter guy, I never in my life said the shooter should walk. You see the difference? One is you're talking about the action of the person who got shot and what they may or may not have done to contribute to that getting shot. But then there is accountability on the side of the shooter. I never said, well, I think the guy that tried to shoot Trump, I think that guy should walk because killing MAGA is based. Whereas these people are saying killing U.S. citizens is based and the guy should walk.
The law, they should be treated with a modicum of dignity and respect. And the fact that they're not is why incidents like yesterday happened. The one final point I'll make about this is, look, there's a part of me that feels very, very sad for this woman, not just because she lost her life, but because I think she is a victim
of the
left-wing ideology. What
do you know about this person? Do you know anything yet?
Mother shows up and decides they're going to throw their car in front of ICE officers who are enforcing legitimate law.
Throw her car in front of ICE officers? Like, that wasn't even what happened. Like, and we haven't seen the footage beforehand. Like, I'll be honest enough to say they had her flagged for some reason. Like I said, it looks like she was arguing with the cop that ultimately ended up murdering her in her car. But, like, she wasn't blocking them. She wanted them to go through. They wanted to stop and arrest her. Now, maybe they had a legitimate reason to arrest her. I'm willing to say that. I don't know. I don't know what came before that video. And like I said, the one guy that ended up murdering her was was behind the car with the camera. It looked like he was recording, my guess, is an argument or something. But she wasn't there to block them. That doesn't, or at least it doesn't seem to be the case. Maybe earlier in the video or earlier some kind of blocking was happening. I don't have any footage of that. I don't have any reporting of that. I don't have any evidence of that.
You've got to...
Aren't you afraid of losing your platform? Okay, I hold on. I don't understand you people. Why do some people type lose with 2 O's? Are you afraid of losing your platform? In what world? There are some typos that I get. Why do some people type OO for losing? Sorry. Aren't you afraid of losing your platform as the temperature in politics seems to keep increasing? I'm already demonetized, right? Listen, if I'm going to go play video games forever, I have a video game now, and it's called Arc Raiders. I'll go play Arc Raiders. I don't give a fuck. I can retire all my money, finish out my court case, and play video games all day.
Be a little brainwashed to get to that point to where you're willing not just to protest. That's fine.
Do we even know if she was at a protest?
Not peacefully protest, but throw your vehicle in front of legitimate law enforcement officers and drive your car into them. To get...
Like, you motherfucker, we could see the direction the car goes after she's dead. Right? You can see the car. It doesn't veer to the left. It doesn't veer into the officer.
To that point, you have to be, I think, radicalized in a very, very sad way. I certainly wish...
Was she? Woman killed by ICE agent in Minneapolis was a mother of 3, poet, and new to the city. The woman shot and killed by a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer in Minneapolis on Wednesday was Renee Nicole Macklin Good, red flag, 4 names. A 37-year-old mother of 3 who had recently moved to Minnesota. She was a U.S. citizen born in Colorado. And what a sad fucking thing that we even have to fucking say this. How crazy disgusting. If I was an immigrant, I would be so mad. Why the fuck are we identifying some victim? I understand why we have to do it, but I'm just saying how fucked this country is that we have to even put shit like this. This is a U.S. citizen. They're the ones we care about, guys. I'm surprised they didn't put white. Did they anywhere? She was a white U.S. citizen born in Colorado to 2 white parents, and appears to have never been charged with anything involving law enforcement beyond a traffic ticket. Well, what kind of traffic ticket? In social media accounts, Macklin Good described herself as a poet and writer and wife and mom. She said she was currently experiencing Minneapolis. Yeah, she got the... Sorry, that's... Well, I mean, I guess it's the Minneapolis experience. It's not even, though. This is the Fed experience. Displaying a pride flag emoji on her Instagram account. Uh-oh! A profile picture posted to Pinterest shows her smiling and holding a young child against her cheek, along with posts about tattoos, hairstyles, and home decorating. Antifa coded. Her ex-husband, who asked not to be named out of concern for the safety of their children, said Macklin Good had just dropped off her 6-year-old son at school Wednesday and was driving home with her current partner when they encountered a group of ICE agents on a snowy street in Minneapolis. Her husband turned her gay? Isn't she a lesbian now? Wow. Maybe she's bi. Where they had moved last year from Kansas City, Missouri. Video taken by bystanders posted to... Also, imagine how cucked you have to be if you're Kansas. Did Kansas City start in Kansas and now the only Kansas City that exists really is Kansas City, Missouri? I feel like that's pretty cucked. Your shit kind of got jacked there hardcore, you know? Video taken by bystanders posted to social media shows an officer approaching a car, demanding she open the door and grabbing the handle. When she begins to pull forward, a different ICE officer standing in front of the vehicle pulls his weapon and immediately fires at least 2 shots in the vehicle at close range. It was 3 altogether, right? In another video taken of the shooting, a distraught woman is seen sitting near the vehicle, wailing, "That's my wife. I don't know what to do." Calls and messages to Macklin Good's current partner received no response. Trump admin officials painted Macklin Good as a domestic terrorist who had attempted to ram federal agents with her car. Her ex-husband said she was no activist and that he had never known her to participate in any protest of any kind. Scott is a devoted Christian who took part in youth mission trips to Northern Ireland when she was younger. She loved to sing, participate in... Jesus, what is this woman's life? She also hosted a podcast with her second husband who died in 2023. What's going on over there? Destiny, morally, these ICE pieces of shit are absolutely to blame, but I hope Dems like AOC don't take the bait and try to claim it was a murder or a black and white situation. Instead, they should focus on the insane rhetoric of demonizing people getting shot by federal agents or people protesting peacefully being called radicals or lunatics. If this was like an incident that happened in a vacuum, I think that this is how I view this. We are in like the gray zone approaching the gray zone, right? So let's assume you have... I can't draw white. Pretend that red is white, okay? If this was like a black and white situation, okay? We'll say the black is bad, the white is good, okay? Let's say that this middle part here is the gray. This is our gray area. I feel like we're like here, where it's like, it's close to being gray, but like the officer put himself in front of that car for seemingly no reason. The only thing that moves this over here is if we can find out why they wanted her arrested. And it was for something related to the commission of some kind of felony or whatever. Then my opinion starts to shift a little bit. So like if she had been suspected to be in the possession of a weapon or had committed some kind of felony beforehand, and she had lots of notice, they were trying to arrest her, whatever, then it starts to shift a little bit. But, and listen, I'm a cop slapper bootlicker, okay? I think a lot of people act real fucking retarded around cops, and I don't have as much sympathy for people that, even if the cop is acting stupidly, they disobey orders and start getting shot and do retarded shit. I don't have a lot of sympathy for people like this. But like in this situation, it's like, I don't see a compelling reason for the officer to throw himself in front of this car and then to Stretch Armstrong his way into shooting her 3 times. I just don't see much of the, for a chubby 37-year-old white woman, I'm not seeing it. Now, if it was like a scary black man or something, maybe I'm a little more, and you can smell weed, all right? Maybe it's a little more understandable, but... Wait, did I click the wrong tweet? What? Woke up too early, damn, nothing to dunk. Far left libtards defending terrorists. This is the daily routine now. The main problem is people defend everyone like their life depends on it. They want no one to go to jail, but want to kill every intellectual opponent, our intellectual ICE agents. Here's the daily debunk. Draw a gun at police, get shot. Drive at police, get shot. Any other argument is propagated by domestic terrorists. Is he not going to, when he types in chat, does that mean he won't talk about it on stream, or... He's been avoiding it all day. Okay. So text XQC here is JD Vance, right? And stream XQC is Donald Trump. If this was a good, clean shooting, Donald Trump would be out here talking and getting all the credit for it and bragging about it. But even the White House knows it's a little bit fucked. So they wheel out Twitch chat XQC or JD Vance to kind of like deal with it.
That she hadn't got there. I know there's an ICE officer right now who very much wishes he was not put in the position where he had to fire a gun to defend his own life. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. What's your message, following up on that, what's your message to the leaders in Minnesota, the governor of Minnesota, the mayor of Minneapolis, to calm down the situation on the ground, on the streets? What's your message also to those protesters who saw that video in a completely different way than you saw that video?
Well, first of all, I think if you watch every angle of that video, there is one angle where if you squint, you can maybe tell yourself that it's not clear what happened. But when you look at all angles of that video, it is...
Aren't there like 3 videos? Aren't there like 3 angles? Or is it like 2 or 3? Why, he's acting like we've got 360-degree Xbox coverage of the entire event.
It's very clear.
There are many angles? I feel like I've seen like 3 of them.
That her vehicle went right for the guy. She actually collided with him. And
really? Do we have injuries of that?
And then
injury? Do we have like videos or pictures of the injuries here? Or
that's, of course, when he fired his shots. That's obvious, okay? So what I'd say to the protesters is, by all means, protest peacefully, but make this about ideas. Make this about disagreement with our policy. Don't use your protest as a justification or an encouragement for people to go and incite violence and participate in violence against our law enforcement officials. To the people on the ground in Minneapolis, meaning the local officials in Minneapolis from Tim Walz on down, I'd say, look, why can't...
Did we see what Noam says about, yes, she should be impeached. Is it impeached or recalled, or what do you call it when if the Senate were to axe a cabinet member? Can they do that? Is it impeached? Until she has to, until she answers that, I mean, like, this is just, oh no, wait, this is a different thing. Was it yesterday or the day before? Is this Taylor Lorenz? Yesterday or the day before, her statement about that the officers were trying to get their truck out of a snowbank, and the lady came and was boxing. Like, I don't even know what the fuck fan fiction she was talking about.
The officer went to the hospital. He was hit by the vehicle. Went to hospital and received treatment, was released, and is spending time with his family now.
The reporter asked if the officer was suspended. She said the officer went to the hospital and received treatment. Okay? Let me break that down for you. All right? My guess is going to be, without even checking, I bet I'm right on this, is every single time there's like a shooting or anything that happens, you probably always have to go to the hospital to get cleared. It's probably standard operating procedures, my guess. And the fact that she says he received treatment and went home means there were no injuries. Because if he was injured in any way, or if he received treatment that was relevant to any injuries, she would be talking about him. So the officer was totally fucking unharmed. Totally unharmed. Probably not even a fucking bruise, because they could at least call that trauma.
Can't you just disagree with a given piece of immigration policy without turning law enforcement into the enemy? And think about, for example, a criminal law, where a police officer goes and arrests somebody because they violated a criminal law. If you're mad about that, go and protest the politician who passed that law. Don't attack the police officer who's just doing their job. We had a wide open border under Joe Biden. I happen to think it's a good thing the President of the United States has closed it down. If you think that's a bad idea, criticize this administration for a policy decision. Don't attack our people for enforcing the law, because I guarantee you go to ICE, there are black people and white people, there are Democrats and Republicans, they are patriotic Americans who are trying to enforce the law. Attack me, lay off of our ICE agents. Yeah, in the blue, all the way, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice President. You called on Tim Walz to resign. Can you lay out the case as to why he should step down?
Well, I think Tim Walz should resign because it's very clear either that he knew about the fraud in Minneapolis, he knew about the welfare fraud, or at the very least he looked the other way. I mean, this is not like Lex Luthor, right?
What is the difference between insurrectionist MAGA Trump supporters and Democrats trying to justify violence against federal agents like law enforcement? The difference is, unfortunately, before we could speak principally that we should never be violent in any way, size, shape, or form, whatever. Now we have to start asking about questions of fact, though, okay? As an American citizen, as somebody who is descended from people who founded this country on rebellion, it's a little bit silly to say that we have an absolute stance against all forms of political violence. It just doesn't make sense. It was the founding of our country, number one. And then number two, this has been the bread and butter of conservative rhetoric for the past 3 decades. Okay, I can't tell you how many fucking times Glenn Beck cummed on the radio when he got to utter that quote of the tree of liberty. You know, every generation needs to be refreshed with the blood of patriots or whatever. You know, shit like this. The Second Amendment exists so we can protect ourselves from an over-encroaching federal government. We have every American citizen. What was the quote from some king or whatever? I don't even know if this is a real quote, but it's like, if you were to invade America, you would find a rifle behind every blade of grass. You know, like these things over and over and over and over and over again. MAGA insurrectionists are insurrecting based on lies that they've been told by their leaders. They're not insurrecting against a real thing. Like I've said, oh, was that a Japanese general? I've said this before that, like for January 6th, like if the underlying fact of the matter is true, then January 6th would be justified. If you really truly thought that the Congress was involved in this massive collusive scheme to steal the election from the American people by rigging mail-in ballots and votes across all 50 states, or at least the 6 or 7 swing target states or whatever, then yeah, I mean, I get it. I get insurrecting the government there. It makes sense. But own it. It's an insurrection. They did own it before they lost. Then they were like, oh, it was a peaceful murder. But you can't... Yeah, the difference is one of fact. The reality is that right now the administration is wielding federal officers probably illegally, given I think some of the court decisions have pushed like the National Guard deployment back out of states. Not federal officers illegally. The National Guard, I guess, is used illegally. But they're weaponizing the federal law enforcement against individuals in states, which should really never happen. I understand that as Democrats, it's a little bit of a foreign position that you guys might feel uncomfortable about, but Republicans have talked about this shit. This is your states' rights thing right here. This is your states' rights, states' rights, states' rights, states' rights. This is it, right? You can't have federal law enforcement coming into the states to assassinate U.S. citizens for some whatever the fuck immigration shit they're trying to enforce. Like, you should be working collaboratively, really, with your governors for it. If you're an effective leader, that's what you would do. I don't care about XQC. If he wants to talk, we'll talk. Please stop spamming his retarded shit. I'm not going to watch this guy stumble through fucking authoritarian slop.
This is not movie villain fraud. This is the lowest IQ possible fraud. This is, we're going to take kids.
The lowest IQ fraud. A nice dog whistle there.
Or sorry, we're going to take the absence of kids and set up a daycare center where there are no children, and we're going to call our early childhood education center the Quality Learing Center.
Like, all of this is bullshit. You know this, right? Like, it was like, I can't tell if people even know. Like, when like, if me or Dan or Mr. Mood, if we misspeak, it's not because we think the word is actually the thing we say. It's a misspeak, right? The sign was a typo. When we looked on Google Maps, the sign they had on the front of on the front of the other side, it said Quality Learning Center. It's not like it was misspelled and they don't know how to spell learning. Like, all of this goes into this stupid propaganda point of just retarded shit. It's so dumb. And also, I don't think we have any evidence of fraud in the daycare centers yet. I'm not aware of that. I'm still not aware of that happening.
Our early childhood education center, the Quality Learing Center. By the way, if you can't...
Non-native speakers misspelling, I'm shocked. No. I don't even think it was like... I'm sorry. Let me be even further. When I say it was a misspelling, it's not even that it was a misspelling, like they thought it was like, oh, maybe it's luring or whatever. Like, the graphic designer, whoever made the sign, probably just fucked up. Is the most likely explanation there, rather than the guy who's like, I think it is luring, L-E-R. They probably just fucked up the graphic design, is my guess.
Spell learning, maybe you shouldn't be in early childhood education.
Like, this is retarded. You guys don't even believe in school. Why the fuck would you talk about anything? You guys want to rape your kids in your fucking retarded homeschools. Like, why would you even have an opinion on this?
But people got rich off of this. We know that there were schools who either had no enrollment or at least they overstated their enrollment.
Schools or daycares now? What do we...
Tim Walz, either it was unbelievable incompetence or he was in on the fraud. That's one of the things we're going to get to the bottom of. Sir.
How the fuck do you typo a sign?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Can you explain the difference between this Associate Attorney General and a special counsel? And do you envision this being a permanent position or having more of a limited scope?
Well, it's going to be permanent until we get to the bottom of what's going on, so I think it's...
Why can't we answer any question ever? Why do we not have the ability to speak ordinary language anymore? What do you think permanent means, you fucking retard?
Attorney General and a special counsel? And do you envision this being a permanent position or having more of a limited scope?
Well, it's going to be permanent until we get to the bottom of what's going on. So I think it's going to last for at least the remainder of the administration. What's different about it from a special counsel is, if you remember, the Jack Smith case where the special counsel was found unconstitutional, one of the big issues there.
It wasn't found unconstitutional. Your fucking crackhead Supreme Court justice just authored some, he added on to a totally different court case his opinion for why he thought that it was kind of bullshit. But that wasn't the question before the court at all. And that wasn't a ruling on the constitution of the special counsel. No part of the Jack Smith special counsel appointment had been found to be unconstitutional. That's just a fucking lie. I need to stop calling him retarded or stupid. He's not stupid. He's fucking evil.
Jack Smith case where the special counsel was found unconstitutional. One of the big issues there is that that person was not an appointed person, completely aside from all the other issues that the person was a lunatic and that the case had no merit. There was a fundamental constitutional issue, which is that he had not been appointed by the president and he had not been confirmed by the United States Senate. An assistant attorney general, what that's going to allow...
Is a special counsel ordinarily appointed? I didn't go back and read through all of the special counsel rules. Are they ordinarily appointed by the president? Isn't the whole point of a special counsel is to have some independence from, or at least perceived independence from the executive, from the DOJ, from the AG? I feel like the president appointing him directly would kind of seem to run contrary to that, no? Actually, I know that it's not appointed by the president because Mueller was appointed after Trump obstructed his investigation and fired Comey. There's no way that Trump appointed Mueller, so...
allow us to do is appoint this person, have them confirmed by the Senate. That's one difference. The more substantive difference is that this person is going to be part of a very broad interagency White House that's being led from the President of the United States on down. And that's going to give them the resources, the access to material and...
yeah, like Doge had.
To make this person more effective. I think a lot of people have asked, how are you really going to get to the heart of the fraud? We've been asking ourselves that question for the past couple of months, and we think this is the critical piece at the Department of Justice.
Like, these people, we're destroying our government. You can't run everything out of the fucking White House. We have independent agencies for a reason. At the very least, the perception of their independence is important. The fact that you're trying to in-house every single part is such a crazy usage of the, like, nobody, even the people defending the unitary executive theory in the past wouldn't have dreamed that it would be this fucking blatant. Even Barr said that the shit that Trump was trying to do in term one was ridiculous.
To really ramp this fraud investigation into high gear.
Ramp this fraud investigation into high gear. Like, what resources or tools, where are my government educated, actually, if you're a White House press briefing person, you are probably quite intelligent. Okay, so I know they know this. There's a variety of reasons why they probably can't even ask this question right now. But, like, what resources does the United States Department of Justice lack right now that you need to appoint a new type of assistant attorney general or whatever for the White House? Why doesn't the what resources is the Department of Justice lacking to investigate this fraud? And why aren't those resources made available? Why would you need to make a new internal DOJ that's part of the White House? It doesn't even make any sense. X said he's willing to debate in on this. He can always message me on Discord. I got it.
The Department of Justice to really ramp this fraud investigation into high gear. In the red tie, yeah.
Vice President Vance, I wanted to ask, what's your message to far leftist agitators who feel emboldened to obstruct ICE activity in Minnesota and around the country?
Well, I think they shouldn't feel emboldened because now they have an assistant attorney general who is going to prosecute and investigate their fraud and their...
What is it? Is this... Where are my legal people? Is assistant attorney general... Has that ever existed in the entirety of the history of the United States? What does that mean? What is assistant attorney general? Has this ever been a thing before?
Violence more aggressively than it has ever been investigated in the United States of America. We are doing so much to try to find the financing networks and the domestic terrorism networks that legitimate this violence, that fund this violence, and that, of course, engage in the violence. These people should not feel emboldened because they have, for the first time, maybe in American history, an administration that is not going to tolerate political violence of any kind from anywhere. Yeah.
Not this. United States Assistant Attorney General. Many of the divisions and offices of the DOJ are headed by an assistant attorney general. This is what I looked at before, though. These are like associate AGs, right? This is what I was talking about before. But it sounds like, is it assistant and associate like interchangeable? Like associate AG, this is what I was pointing to before, where I'm like, we already have associate AGs, but they're not part of the White House. This is saying antitrust, civil division. Yeah, that's this. Whatever. Civil rights division, civil division, antitrust. I would imagine that they're interchangeable. So they're trying to internalize, by the way, also, it is part of written official DOJ policy. I can tell you exactly why they're doing this. Part of the DOJ policy is that only the Attorney General or Deputy AG with the authorization of the Attorney General can talk to the President of the United States. You are not supposed to. If you're an Associate AG, you're not supposed to talk to the President of the U.S. You don't do that. You always go through your Deputy AG and then through your Attorney General to communicate with the President. This is one of the reasons why that weird Clark guy who was working in the Office of Environmental and Natural Resources Division, why Rosen and Donahue were so kind of skeeved before the January 6th stuff. We're like, why the fuck are you talking to the President of the United States directly? You're not supposed to do that. It's a violation of DOJ policy. The reason why they want to in-house an associate AG is so that they can bypass any conversation with the Attorney General or Deputy Attorney General. But I don't even know why they would do that, because Pam Bondi is clearly like a fucking Trump simp. She'll do whatever the fuck he wants. So I don't even know why the fuck they would need to have an in their pocket associate AG, somebody working at the White House. Also, I don't know if you can do that. What is the legal authority? Are they just going to create a thing in the White House and just call it that, and they're going to pretend like they did with Doge? Like, I don't know what.
Yeah. We not clear today that the entire weight of the federal government is behind these ICE.
Really smart. Yes, this is to sidestep communication norms. Yeah, I just don't even know why you would need to do that, because Pam Bondi is already a fucking Trump dick suck. So why? I don't know why you need to do it.
Yeah.
Wait. If you look at the wiki page, you can see assistant is not the same as associate. Assistant AGs report either to the Deputy Attorney General in the case of the Criminal and Justice Management and Office of Legal Counsel, or to the Associate Attorney General in the case of antitrust, civil. Oh wait, associate might be the third position actually. There's like but it's not listed. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's here anyway. Oh, I understand now. Oh, I get it. Oh, okay. You have your Attorney General, you have your Deputy Attorney General, and then you have the Associate Attorney General that reports up here. And then these guys are all that head these departments are Assistant Attorney Generals. They all report to the Associate AG. That's what's I think going on here. So some of them report to some of the assistant AGs here report to the Deputy Attorney General, and some of the assistant AGs here report to the Associate Attorney General. Gotcha. I still don't know why they would have to in-house. Also, what are they creating? What do we need a new division of that we can't already investigate? That's not part of the Department of Justice. It's retarded. I believe these positions need the confirmation of the Senate, and they might not want to do that. Does the Senate have to confirm assistant AGs? The President of the United States appoints individuals to the position of Assistant Attorney General with the advice and consent of the Senate. Oh, yeah. Oh, maybe it's to avoid that? Because they were ass paying that they're... What was the prosecutor who got kicked off? I want to call her Holiday. It's not Holiday. Hasley? Lindsay. That one? Maybe they were mad that they couldn't get her confirmed or whatever? I don't know.
We not clear today that the entire weight of the federal government is behind these ICE agents.
They have talked about how they're going to do Senate confirmation for this. Okay, I just don't know what the legal structure would be of any of this, but...
And this ICE agent in particular, there is still a federal investigation happening on the ground. Does that mean that they are not looking into this ICE agent at all? They are just focused on the woman who was in the car? What is the investigation if the federal government has already determined that its weight is behind this ICE investigation?
So what do you mean when you say investigation, do you mean investigation of the shooting yesterday or of the fraud that's happening in Minneapolis?
Yesterday.
Okay, look, DHS, as I understand it, has an investigation already ongoing. I know that other organs of our government are looking at this. So yes, there's certainly an investigation that's happening right now. But as part of the broader fraud investigation, a lot of what we're doing with the Department of Justice has already started.
Shameless.
We've got over 1,500 subpoenas. We've got people this morning, actually, we're going door to door to actually knock on some of these fraudulent care centers, these fraudulent social services organizations to get to.
What do you think the best argument would be for this new position while also opposing special counsels like Jack Smith? Oh, I thought you were asking different. I read that more negatively. I don't. I don't know. All of their arguments are pretextual. Like they have their bullshit in mind, and they'll just find whatever bullshit to justify. I don't even know what the fuck they would say. I don't even know if they would have to try.
To the bottom of what's going on there. So the investigation in some ways has already been ramping up into the anti-fraud element for at least a few weeks. What we're trying to do is supercharge it and make sure there's a designated person within the Department of Justice who completely controls that particular focus.
Just to follow up on that, Mr. Vice President, on the agent, is he still on duty or has he been placed on leave, on administrative leave? And what really was the target of the operation on Wednesday? Of the ICE operation on Wednesday?
Good
is
question.
he still on duty or has he been placed on leave, on administrative leave? And what really was the target of the operation?
Oh, also, by the way, quick thing, okay? Whenever you see black people or women or people who are pro-DEI, you're like, I don't know, the DEI thing is pretty cringe or whatever. Apparently this fucking guy was actually in an incident before. This cop was. Fuck, where did the story go that I had? Where he got dragged by a car or something. If this was an airplane pilot and they were black or they were a woman, every single conservative in the country would be rising up and talking about the evils of affirmative action and DEI. They would say he was an unqualified black pilot, unqualified woman pilot who should have never been in that seat. They'd already fucked up before, and the only reason they were there was because of DEI and because of affirmative action. Same officer who was dragged and injured by a fleeing driver in a separate incident last year, according to a person with knowledge of the case and verified by court documents. Little public information is available at Ross, described only by federal officials as an experienced officer. On June 17th, Ross was participating in an arrest of Roberto Carlos Munoz Guatemala, a Mexican citizen. His last name is Guatemala. How could he be Mexican? In Bloomington last year. Munoz Guatemala had previously been convicted of fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct and had been put on a detainer by immigration officials. Fourth degree? What does fourth degree mean? You stole a kiss? Damn, how many degrees are there? Just kidding. It's probably bad, sorry. Munoz Guatemala ignored the agent's commands, including to fully roll down his car windows, so Ross broke open his rear window and reached inside to unlock the door. Guatemala put the vehicle in drive and accelerated onto the curb. The charges said Ross was dragged alongside the vehicle and twice fired his taser as Munoz Guatemala weaved back and forth in an apparent attempt to shake him from the car. Jesus Christ. About 300 feet down the road, Munoz Guatemala re-entered the street and the force knocked the officer from the car. The agent required 20 stitches for a deep cut in his right arm and another 13 in his left hand, according to court documents. Put this guy on leave. Or rather, get him a desk job. Damn. I saw a promo of you in a political reality TV show on the Bulwark yesterday. Tim Miller was lamenting that he wasn't invited to join. Well, if he wants to be involved in some drama, so he can be on reality TV too.
On Wednesday. Of the ICE operation on Wednesday.
Well, first of all, it was a legitimate law enforcement.
Isn't fourth degree the lesser degree? Yeah, that's why I said stole a kiss. I don't know how many degrees for different crimes, whatever there can be, but... Oh, actually, I wonder if degrees are there because you don't have classes. Like, I feel like for misdemeanors in different states, it'll be like class A, class B, all the way to like class C, Z or whatever. Maybe for felonies, it's like first degree, second degree, third degree, right? I don't know.
ICE arrest.
Yeah, Destiny's not looking good. Wait, what? What do you mean it's not looking good?
In the Twin Cities is leading to even more charges. ICE arrest in the Twin Cities is leading to even more charges.
It's home security. Video shows the driver taking off during a traffic stop, dragging a deportation officer with him. Jesus. New at 10, WCCO's Uba Ali walks us through this video and the political firestorm behind it.
What began as a planned federal immigration arrest took a violent turn in this quiet Bloomington neighborhood. And it was all caught on camera. According to a federal complaint, agents were executing a warrant for 39-year-old Roberto Carlos Munoz. They say Munoz entered the country unlawfully, and he also pled guilty to fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct back in 2023 for abusing a minor.
Jesus.
Tuesday morning, agents pulled him over. Court documents say he repeatedly refused to comply. Tuesday morning, agents picked back in 2023 for abusing a minor. Tuesday morning, agents country for 39 camera. According to a federal complaint, agents were executing a warrant for 39-year-old Roberto Carlos Munoz.
Who is?
They say Munoz entered the country unlawfully, and he also pled guilty to fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct back in 2023.
Why the fuck is he still in this country? Here's another thing, okay? And listen, this is the thing I don't understand about American criminal justice. And the conservatives always like to make this about immigration and illegals and blah, 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 or whatever. And it's true. In this case, I don't know why the fuck this guy's still here. I will say, though, I don't know how the fuck some people get so many fucking chances on some things. Like, I feel like when it comes to people killing people, like in DUI incidents, like every time it's like this person was involved in an accident where they manslaughtered a person. They had previously been charged with 6 DUIs. And I'm like, does this person even know how to drive sober anymore? Like, what the fuck?
For abusing a minor. Tuesday morning, agents pulled him over. Court documents say he repeatedly refused to comply before a federal agent took out his spring-loaded window punch with his right hand.
Spring-loaded window punch? What, do we have Fortnite weapons?
And broke the driver's side rear window. These images show the officer's hand in the vehicle. In this video, you can see the driver take off with the agent hanging from the car, dragging him 300 feet through front yards. These graphic images show the aftermath. A bloody agent who needed 33 stitches for his significant cuts. And
you know what would be the ultimate fucking... it's not good. But imagine if this guy was like, ICE has a reputation for being racist and evil, and I'm going to be the good cop, and I'm going to join ICE, and I'm going to right the wrongs, and I'm going to do everything I can. And he is like the most cucked, lib-cucked, like SJW, like isn't racist. And all the other cops were like, bro, get your gun out. Like, this guy's crazy. He's like, I'm not going to shoot fucking Pedro Gonzalez. I'm not doing it. Just because he's a Mexican Guatemalan doesn't mean he's evil or whatever. And then this shit happens. But then he gets to the white woman, and he's like, not on my watch. Not on my watch, bitch. Just kidding. Video game.
X, instead of comparing.
Jesus.
Target of the operation on Wednesday, of the ICE operation on Wednesday.
Well, first of all, it was a legitimate law enforcement operation. We were going.
Stop. No more Mike Lee tweets in my chat. This Mike Lee only exists to make you rage bait. What state is this? Indiana? What state is this fucking loser from? Hold on. I don't even know what this guy does in government. I don't know if he's part of any committees or what. The only thing, Utah. I only know him because he's the biggest Twitter rage baiter in the universe. This is the guy who made the Nightmare on Wall Street. I think he's one of the people that tweeted at me and the FBI to arrest me or whatever. This guy is just a rage baiter. That's all he does. And he tweets the most retarded shit ever. Oh my God.
Going door to door to try to find.
Yeah, and he's not even Asian. Imagine this fucker was like teaching your Taekwondo class or whatever. And you're like, oh, this guy's name is Mike Lee. Wow. He had Asian parents that gave him the real white name so that he'd be like fucking more American integrated. And you show up and it's this guy, Mr. Lee, like Bruce Lee. Really?
On administrative leave, and what really was the target of the operation on Wednesday? Of the ICE operation on Wednesday?
Well, first of all, it was a legitimate law enforcement operation. We were going door to door to try to find criminal illegal aliens and deport them from the United States of America because if
What? That's our ingenious deportation policy? Is you're going door to door? Like Mormons?
On Wednesday. Of the ICE operation on Wednesday.
Well, first of all, it was a legitimate law
You're sheltering illegal immigrants of the state, are you not?
enforcement operation. We were going door to door to try to find criminal illegal aliens and deport them from
Oh,
the
Jehovah's Witnesses, my bad.
United States of America, because if you come to our country illegally in violation of our immigration laws, then we have the mandate, and in fact, we have the legal duty to enforce those immigration laws. Whether he's been placed on administrative leave, I don't know the answer to that question. I'd refer it to the Department of Homeland Security, and they can follow up. I will say, look, I would appreciate everybody saying a prayer for that agent. Look, in the past 6 months, he has been hit twice by a motor vehicle. One time, the first time, it led to over 30 stitches and very serious injuries to his legs. This is a guy who's actually...
Well, he wasn't really hit the first time, right? You're just kind of fucking lying again. Now, whether or not he was justified in putting his arm through the window or whatever else, fine. But he wasn't really hit, right? That was a fucking lie.
Done a very, very important job for the United States of America. He's been assaulted, he's been attacked, he's been injured because of it. He deserves a debt of gratitude, and I think the media prejudging and talking about this guy as if he's a murderer is one of the most disgraceful things I've ever seen from the American media.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vice President, what is your specific role in the future of Venezuela? And I'm wondering, could you confirm reports that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was kept out of the planning for the operations because of her past concerns about...
So supposedly, Tulsi Gabbard has been iced out for like 2 or 3 months of everything related to Venezuela, which I don't know the chain of how the DNI intersects with like Army and Navy intelligence. That might all run through a different section of the civilian government. I would imagine, though, like the CIA must have been a part of, we watched that video, the CIA and the NSA and even the FBI must have been a part of some of the intelligence gathering process apparatus for the Venezuelan stuff. I have no, wait, aren't some of these ICs, are they from like the Navy, Army? Hold on, let me check. Maybe not. Shit is complicated. Office of Naval Intelligence, Coast Guard Intelligence, Military Intelligence Corps, and Marine Intelligence. Yeah, I don't know how she could have been cut out of all of this, but there might be another civilian. There's a Defense Intelligence Agency for that. Yeah, there might be something in the DoD about this as well.
military involvement in Venezuela?
So I've heard a couple of things. One, that I was kept out of the planning for the Venezuela operation, that's false. And another, that Tulsi was kept out of the planning for Venezuela operations, that's completely false. Look, we're all part of the same team. And one of the things that is really amazing about that operation is that we kept it very tight to the senior cabinet level officials and related officials in our government. Another, that Tulsi was kept out of the planning for Venezuela operations, that's completely false. Look, we're all part of the same team. And one of the things that is really amazing about that operation is that we kept it very tight to the senior cabinet.
Wait, DIA was the list you just looked at, so it looks like it's still under the DNI. Wait, DIA is what you just looked at. United States Intelligence Community. Office of the Director of... Wait, what do you mean? Oh, the Defense Intelligence Agency. Oh, is under the DNI. Right here, I see.
Cabinet level officials and related officials in our government. And we kept this operation secret for a very long time. I'm very proud of that. I think it suggests that the team works very well together. Well, looking ahead, what is my role? Look, my role is going to be whatever the president asks me to do. Well, every single, or I should say every other day, I'm chairing the meeting that we do on this among White House principals to talk about next steps to try to ensure that Venezuela is stable. And as the president has directed us to do, to ensure that the new Venezuelan government actually listens to the United States and does what the United States needs it to do under our country's best interest. So I'm going to be as involved as the president wants me to be. So far, that's been very...
So who's their leadership right now? Is it just the vice president, the VP that was there before?
Involved, and I'll keep on doing that so long as the president asks me to do it. In the purple.
Yes. Even
Mr.
beyond the war powers
Sorry,
resolution.
we'll go purple and then we'll go pink or whatever that is in front.
Royal purple. And then beige. All right.
Okay.
Are there any indications, you talked about the network, are there any indications that the lady who was shot, I know there are different reports from there, her wife said they were new to the area. Are there any indications she may have been a paid agitator, and maybe that there are others that were brought to the area, considering everything that's going on?
Can I not full screen my Chrome? Hello?
on in Minneapolis?
I wouldn't say that she was paid. I don't have the evidence to say that one way or the other. What I do know is that she was violating the law. And if you just look at the eyewitness accounts, they were saying she was there to prevent the enforcement of the law. She was trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation.
Wait, are there people saying that? I'm not aware of that. We watched the one guy yesterday. I don't remember what he said. Did anybody say that she... I thought the story was that she was like a legal observer. Like she's just there to watch cops to make sure they don't do fuck shit or whatever. Which is not illegal.
That much is obviously clear. The rest of it, of course, is part of the reason why we investigate this stuff. Yeah.
Mr. Vice President, even beyond the war powers resolution today, Congress has bucked President Trump on issues like tariffs. Are you concerned that President Trump is losing his grip on Republicans in the Congress, and what are you going to do about it?
No, I'm not concerned at all. First of all, we talked to some of the senators who were going to vote the wrong way, in my view, on this resolution today. Much of their argument was based more on a legal technicality than any disagreement in policy. If you look...
Oh my God. It was more just, because they thought it was illegal.
At the people who actually voted, every single one of them have supported the administration's plan. Second of all, as the president, I believe himself has already said, every president, Democrat or Republican, believes the War Powers Act.
There was one chick yesterday saying she was one of the leaders of the protests. Can you link that? I haven't seen that.
Is fundamentally a fake and unconstitutional law. It's not going to change anything about how we conduct foreign policy over the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, and that'll continue to be how we approach things. Go ahead.
Okay, hi, what's up?
Hey, I saw you were covering the Minnesota shooting. Just wanted to chat about it real quick. So, as far as like the officer taking the shot and kind of like what standard we need to be looking at here, there's a lot of talk about like self-defense, and so I've been looking a little bit into the Minnesota statutes and like previous cases involving officers, and it's not really, and I think it's a lot of people are kind of giving him a lot of people are like assuming that he's going to get off really easily, including myself for a while there. But after looking into it, it seems like there's actually some precedent that this guy could be charged with murder in Minnesota.
Well, firstly, it seems like the feds are going to usurp this 100%, and there's no world where the DOJ is charging him with any of the state crimes and having those being held in federal court. So I think we would have to look at the federal laws at play in regular. Although I don't even know if that matters, because if they're not going to charge him with anything to state crimes, I don't think they're going to charge him with anything federal crimes either. But yeah, go ahead. You can walk us through, I guess, what you think the state crimes would be.
The Minnesota, I'm not sure if they have a DA or what they call theirs. Whatever their head of criminal prosecution in Minnesota is called. I mean, they could bring charges, right? If they get this officer's name and information, they could bring charges against him.
I don't actually know if that's true. I don't know what happens. What does it look like when you have a conflict between the feds and the state on the same crime? Because I think ordinarily, historically, they're all three, your local, your state, and your feds are usually. There was a guy in chat yesterday who wrote this as well. There was a name that he had for this process. I don't remember what it was, but like all three typically work together, and then like the original jurisdiction will get like a first crack at it if they want to charge it, and then if they don't, then one of the other two might choose. But I don't know what it looks like, especially with the feds are in conflict with you because of how like supremacy of charging and everything works. I don't know what that looks like.
Well, when it comes to supremacy, there's supremacy of laws, right? So federal law will preempt state law, but the federal courts are not superior to state courts in the way that a lot of people think they are. Like I know a lot of people think that you just kind of work your way up through state and then you work your way up through federal. That's not really true.
Not true at all, actually. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So if the state brought charges and they said we want to do this in state court, then they would have every right to do that. And then let's say they bring those charges and the Fed say, well, we don't want to charge them.
Wait, I want to ask you, I have two questions about this. So one is of kind of practicality and the other is of legality. Let's say that they're looking at two charges for two relatively similar things. Now, double jeopardy wouldn't apply if there's no indictment or anything, but let's say that the feds investigate him for murder, and then let's say that the state investigates him for murder. The feds say there was no murder here, we're not going to charge him for that. Theoretically, if there's no conflict, would the state be able to say, well, we do, so we're going to charge him for murder? That's okay?
Sure.
Okay, that was the first question. And the second question then is one of practicality. And I think this is the issue that the Minnesota police are running into right now, is if the feds take over the investigation entirely and the Minnesota a prosecutor officer or whatever, or for Minneapolis, or I don't know where the shooting was or whatever, what city it was, if they try to do this investigation, but it gets roadblocked by the feds who don't respond to subpoenas or who have confiscated all the evidence and they don't play ball, is it even possible, but they have enough evidence to even try to do that case or play it at that point?
Yeah, practically, it would certainly make it difficult, but I think we might be overestimating the Fed's control over this. I mean, like, there are multiple people taking videos. There were multiple people on the scene that can testify. People have been convicted on far less. And the other side is that if the Feds don't want to comply and they don't want to do these things, right, well, really, that's just hanging this officer out to dry, because this officer is still going to be charged. And if he doesn't appear for any of it, like let's say they say, we're not going to do any of it, and he's not even going to appear. Well, okay, like, they can still go through this process, get everything ready, and then that guy, basically, if he ever goes to Minnesota ever again, can just be arrested, charged with murder, and then the feds can cry about it all they want. But if the state has the evidence, this guy, they can put him away. And
yeah, I understand. That was another question I kind of had. That are we setting ourselves up for this weird world where we're actually having this quasi? You've heard of like the national divorce.
Right.
Yeah, where you're starting to have like feds murdering people in blue states and then moving to like red states so that the red states don't, I don't know legally what the extradition requirement is. There must be some sort of federal supremacy or something there where like a state can't harbor a murderer from another state, I would imagine. If there's not a federal law, there must be, every state must have laws about this, no?
There are processes for it, but like there's like the states was if there came to an issue, let's say like Minnesota wanted this guy and he was sitting in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's like, no, we're not gonna give him up because we love Trump or something, and there was an issue there, it would go to a federal court, specifically most likely the Supreme Court, and they would resolve the issue there.
Which sucks for us, but okay.
Yeah, but it's kind of a thing where like I think I would say this. I think it's likely that there's not going to be a satisfying resolution to the case. If they try to charge him, I still think they should charge him and then take that unsatisfying resolution and say, see, this unsatisfying resolution is happening because of the people in power, right? Like, that's kind of the consolation that we've got to take from it.
Wait, what do you mean when you say unsatisfying resolution? Like losing at jury trial or not getting enough for a grand jury indictment, or?
I think getting a grand jury indictment, but never actually being able to get the guy because they make sure he never goes back to Minnesota and they don't extradite him from wherever he is, right? And then they say, and we could say, look, there's this guy, there's literally a man on the run being sheltered by this administration because he committed murder in this state, and they won't give him up because they can't face the facts that one of their own killed an American citizen, and they can't accept that, and they won't actually give them up because they'd rather protect him from the law than actually admit that, they're evil or whatever the language would be. I'm not writing that script. But yeah, I mean, it's a thing too where I think it's easy to think like, oh, he's an officer, and for me the perspective has been like police officers get a huge amount of deference for this kind of stuff. Like, not only do they have a different standard for whatever you're assessing, like a use of deadly force, right? Because he could claim self-defense, but really in Minnesota you would be arguing that like an authorized use of deadly force, not self-defense technically. And so he would say, oh, it's a reasonable officer standard.
Yeah.
And so, which is actually an easier standard to meet than reasonable person standard for self-defense.
Well, I think that really depends on the underlying facts, though. But I mean, I do agree with you, because officers are, the mens rea component for like murdering people and everything is very, very difficult to meet for an officer in the line of duty, because he's almost always thinking he's acting in some lawful capacity. So there has to be some element of like gross negligence or something. I don't know what Chauvin, how he ended up losing his case, what they were pushing for. But yeah, the self-defense thing I think is kind of silly right off the bat, because like even if the lady was driving at him, shooting her doesn't help him at all. Like, if anything, shooting hurts him because he should be just trying to get out of the way as quickly as possible, right? It's not like shooting is defending himself, yeah. But then for the reason why I say underlying facts, and this is why I keep hedging, there's a single caveat that I've carved out for this, in that we don't know the facts leading up to what happened. Like, if the lady, I'm being in the most exaggerated way, but the lady had said something like, I'm driving to the next ICE protest, I've got an AR-15 in my car, and I'm going to fucking kill every ICE agent I see, and she starts driving away. Like, in that case, if the officers have a belief that that person might go and commit a violent crime and they're fleeing an arrest, I think you actually are fully legally, and I would even say ethically, within your right to use deadly force to bring that person under control. But we don't have any of that information, and I'm guessing it doesn't exist, because if it did exist, they would have released it. So yeah, that's
Well, there was a case in 2021, State v. Noor, in which a police officer shot a woman in Minnesota. was charged with third-degree murder and appealed it, and the courts actually went through all that, right? And so a big part of reasonable officer standard is that you have to take the totality of the circumstances. So anybody that says, well, like, look at this moment, he's standing there and there's a car coming at him, and so he had to shoot to get out of it. You can't use that analysis whenever determining whether or not it was authorized. You have to look at everything that happened, everything that's going on.
Which they have, because it looked like he was recording an argument with that lady beforehand, because he's got his fucking phone out and he's talking to the lady, I guess her wife or whatever, behind the car. Yeah.
And then on top of that, you can't then do like too broad of one, like Trump likes to do or Vance just did of, the left is inciting people, and so these ICE agents are on edge, blah, blah, blah. You can't use something that broad either. You have to look at the timeline of the circumstances that happened, right? And so the Noor case is actually like in some ways worse, but also in some ways like better than this case. Like, for instance, after they shot her, they tried to actually administer medical care, unlike in this case. And then in that one, he was trying to defend another officer, whereas in this one, it was like presumably to defend himself. But the nice thing about the Noor case that helps us here as well, that like might actually make this guy able to be convicted if ever charged, is that in the Noor case, they used expert witnesses to come on and say, here's what the training is, here's what an officer is trained to do, here's what this officer would have known at that time as far as like the use of deadly force, and it is clear that they're acting outside of it. And since they're acting outside of that training and outside of the knowledge that they would have, we can say it was unauthorized, right? And that's kind of one of the pitfalls of a reasonable officer standard versus a reasonable person standard. A reasonable officer does have specific training. If you go outside of that specific training, a lot of the times it can cut against them.
Sure.
And people
I think you also run into this issue here, if I remember the video correctly. If there were 3 officers there and only one of them pulled his gun, then I feel like that cuts against you pretty hard, unless the other 2 officers were unreasonable and he was the only reasonable one there. I don't know. That seems like it would cut against him a bit, I would imagine.
Right. Well, but then also there's been some discussion around the DHS's policy regarding discharging weapons at vehicles that are fleeing, or discharging weapons at vehicles when they're the perpetrators in the vehicle and they aren't displaying a weapon, things like that, and kind of where his position was with the car. I don't want to speak specifically on it. I've seen a lot of evidence that like, hey, he was actually not in the path of the car and he shouldn't have shot, but I've heard other things, so I don't want to speak too strongly. But those are all things where it's like, if you can show government policy for law enforcement officers and him acting outside of that when he shot her, then it really starts to cut against him. That being said, like my, limited experience in criminal law, like it's not an official thing, but like DAs, prosecutors, judges, juries all give law enforcement officers a huge amount of discretion in this stuff. They are very generous and they will let people just get away with it, even if like the facts really don't support it. There's some pretty egregious cases where it's like, this guy very clearly shouldn't have shot this person, but they just kind of like let him off. So that's a different aspect of it. People hate ICE, so maybe that would be a factor too. But yeah, the more that I look into the specific laws of Minnesota, the more it feels like this is not something as clear cut as just like, oh, he's a cop and someone's driving a car near him, so he gets to shoot, right?
Have you heard this? Have you read this 28 USC 1442? Federal officers or agencies sued or prosecuted. A civil action or criminal prosecution that is commenced in a state court and that is against or directed to any of the following may be removed by them to the District Court of the United States for the district and the division embracing the place wherein it is pending. And then A1, the United States or any agency thereof, or any officer or any person acting under that officer of the United States or of any agency thereof in an official or individual capacity for or relating to any act under color of such offense or such office, or on account of any right, title, or authority. Does this mean that if it was tried in a state court, could the federal court just like assume, or I guess could they just absorb the case or remove it and
Well, but remember, even if we're saying we're going to remove it to federal court, that really wouldn't change anything for the case itself. The state would still send their attorneys to federal court. They would still use state law in that federal court. It's just that a federal judge would be the one that would be deciding it, right?
Oh, that doesn't change who the prosecutor is?
1 second. Let me read this real quick myself.
I have no idea how it works with, I know that obviously state stuff can be heard in a federal court, like the state laws and everything, but I didn't know if the prosecutor would still be a state prosecutor trying the case then in a federal court against somebody else.
Yeah, there's one part of this that I'm not entirely sure what the language means. So it's any of the following may be removed by them to the District Court of the United States for the district and division embracing the place where it is pending. I'm not sure if they're talking, that might, the district and division part, I'm not sure specifically what that means, but this doesn't read to me like the U.S. Attorney's Office would be taking over the case, and it would be at the state's discretion to allow them to do so. If the state brought the case, it would be surprising to me if they would be forced to turn it over to the Department of Justice. Maybe there is a process for that. I just haven't heard of it. I mean, this is a pretty rare scenario.
He's got a gavel.
But,
got a gavel flare. He said, once it's in federal court, the officer can move to dismiss under the supremacy clause.
Oh, but if it was I'm not sure how he would move to dismiss under the supremacy clause if it's a state court action, if it's a state murder charge.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't deal with this kind of stuff a lot, so maybe there's something that I'm just missing.
My understanding is that if there are laws in conflict or something, then the supremacy clause says that the higher jurisdiction would always have supremacy, basically. So like a federal law would supersede a state law, but it's not like there's a federal law here that says that a police officer or an ICE officer can just murder with impunity. So I don't know how, unless the supremacy clause has some other part of it too, or implies something else. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Yeah, I don't think, I don't know how this would apply here. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the term that's more commonly used is preemption. So what you do is you'd say in cases where federal and state laws, conflict in a specific area, then the federal law would preempt the state law and the state law would not apply.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in federal court and let's say they're charging, this would be like a murder 3 usually.
Mm-hmm.
I think this would probably be murder 3 in Minnesota. They have different murder
in every state it's a little different
structures than federal. I'm not sure why a federal charge would come in and preempt this, because if you I'm just trying to think about it. Because removal literally only has to do with the court that's hearing it, your procedural rules. It shouldn't change the actual case. You could say that it's a federal question maybe, and he could argue. This is too boring to talk on stream. There maybe are ways that I'm not seeing, but I don't see why that would affect it here.
Yeah, because even a case heard in federal court, if they're depending on the So a state issue can be heard in federal court for a variety of reasons. And even if you were to secure a conviction or win a civil case in federal court, if it was about state statutes, if we're looking at, say, pardons, it would be the governor still that could pardon there? Or right. Right? Okay.
Because it's a state crime, right? It's just, you're just talking about the procedural aspects of the case, the fact-finding body,
mm-hmm.
and then a few other things might be different. Okay, I will check out Texas v. Kleiner. Thank you, RT Corpse Fiction. But yeah, we're going to discuss some of that stuff, and that there's a lot of people acting very sure on this, and you're right that there's a lot of gray here, and there's definitely a lot of gray in the law.
Well, hold on. I said I'm not sure about something. I didn't say there's a lot of gray here. Okay, careful. Don't misquote me.
I thought you were saying earlier we're in the gray of the gray or something like that.
I said we're close to gray, but it seems pretty wrong to me. It's not quite gray. It seems like it's pretty wrong. Yeah, the guy shouldn't have been in that position.
Whether self-defense or this is authorized use of deadly force in a court of law, this is very clearly an unjustified killing and unethical and immoral to have done this,
mm-hmm.
not only by the officer but by the administration who created the circumstances that led to this, who encouraged this kind of thing, used rhetoric that would encourage it, who are now gleefully happy that it's happened, things like that. They're all reveling in their excessive power that they get to now show off, that they get to use and not be held accountable for. They're happy to go on stage and brag about it,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah. No, definitely not that. Okay, I'm going to read about this, and then, you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, be careful.
Oh, hey, last thing. Are you going to be watching the Word War, whatever the fuck thing on Saturday?
The World Word?
The Word War. Pisco's doing some Word War debate against Ryan Mullally or something.
A World War?
No, Word War debate.
Word War debate. Okay, what about it?
It's a horrible name. Yeah, okay. Mullally and Pisco are going to be fighting in it, and there's some kind of viewer aspect to it that is going to determine winning. So I was just I know he's not super well liked here, but I was just wondering if you were going to watch it, try and help support so that Ryan Mullally can lose, because I don't like Ryan Mullally.
We'll see. Maybe. I'll think about it.
Okay, thanks.
Love you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You too.
I woke up to some...
Somebody said 1 minute, 30 seconds. Hold on.
commotion. I heard some whistles going on out front, so I came downstairs to see what was going on. Wasn't even dressed. And there was a car, the Honda Pilot that's crashed over there now. There's a car blocking the 2 lanes of Portland traffic. And the ICE agents got out and they were saying, get out of here, get out of here. And she was, what looked like trying to turn around. And the ICE agent was in front of her car and he pulled out a gun and put it right in, like his midriff was on her bumper, and he reached across the hood of the car and shot her in the face. It's like 3-4 times. And then she must have just stepped on the gas. She stepped on the gas immediately, maybe got like 100 feet or so, and ran into the telephone pole and some cars, and then was slumped over in her car. And you could see there was...
Is this Mike Ross from Suits? Would she have a photographic memory? What the fuck? This is the craziest eyewitness ever. What the fuck?
She was probably gone. And there was a medic. There was a neighbor who's a physician who was yelling, can I please check the pulse? There was no first responders. There were 0 first responders. They left her in her car, slumped over for about 10-15 minutes, blocking us all. And eventually EMS got here and they wouldn't let the bus in, so it was just the EMS workers, and they checked her out for a second, maybe 5 minutes or so, and then carried her out, no stretcher or anything, carried her out like a sack of fucking potatoes.
Can you describe a little bit about what this woman looked like? Was there anyone else in the car with her? Did you know if she was the target?
I don't know if she was a target. They clearly wanted her out of there because she was the main car leading the protest, is my understanding. I talked to another guy who was driving behind her, but
this is where the leading the protest.
She was she was very successful in blocking traffic. She was doing what she was set out to do, and so they wanted to get her the hell out of there. Yeah.
So it looked like she was impeding ICE vehicles.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
That was her goal.
Do you have a read on her demographic?
I think she was a white woman. Looked like, I didn't see her when she was alive, just slumped over in the car. It looked like she had dyed short curly hair. I have a video of her in the car. But yeah, no other description.
Breaking down what exactly you saw this morning.
Basically, ladies trying to warn everyone ICE is in the neighborhood. Just letting them know, hey, and telling ICE, hey, you're destroying families, whatnot. Stop doing this. Hey, get out of here. Stop that. She reversed so traffic can go by. The pickup truck, gray pickup truck, officer ICE got out and was telling her, hey, didn't tell her anything, really, just telling her what, I'm going to open up your door and I'm going to get you out. And that's when the shooting happened, and the car took off, and then it sped off and crashed right into the cars.
Can you talk about the agent that was stepped in front of the car?
The way he was in the clear. There was another one at the front part of the car on the driver's side. Then there's one right there by the door that's opening, trying to get in the door. Then you have one that's in front of the car that was already coming from the side. And he was just getting clear because he already see that, hey, this person could take off, but, maybe I'll try to, intimidate you with my gun.
Do you think blocking federal agent cars while they're doing operations is a thing people should be allowed to do? No, of course not. You can get arrested for that. I think it's fine. There's no issue. I have no issue. Like I said, it seemed like with the way the car was approaching, they were already going to arrest this woman, no matter what, right? Or at the very least detain her. That's fine, but you can't murder people for it. I don't think that's probably an executable offense, just in my mind. And then, hold on, another guy.
8:30 this morning, I was just getting up and I heard a bunch of commotion and whistling outside, and then I heard bang, 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 3 shots. I went to go look out the window, and it looked like there was a Honda over there that crashed, and I found out it was an observer that got shot and killed, and I saw them carry it. I got a bunch of video of them carrying the body to the ambulance and stuff. So it was an observer that got shot at an ICE raid at the house next door.
I'm sure that was a scary thing to witness.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty right-leaning, but seeing this is not what you need to do. It's not how to do it. It's not how we're supposed to do things around here in America. So.
What was how many agents and other people were here when that happened?
When it first started, there was maybe 20, but now there's hundreds. I mean, they got everybody out, so it's kind of crazy right now.
What's it been like seeing all of this?
Kind of scary. I lived during the riots in 2020, so it's kind of paralleling that right now. It's kind of same feeling. Hoping it doesn't, but it's getting a little rowdy.
Getting a little rowdy.
Mr. Chairman, and I intervene here only because
President. So we are seeing, regarding Iran, we are seeing the protests in Iran these days. The cities are begging for help from the U.S. and Israel, naming streets in the city after President Trump. It seems there is an opportunity here that may not come again. Will the United States stand by the citizens of Iran? And if Israel decides to strike again the nuclear sites in Iran, is the U.S. expected to take part?
Well, look, we certainly stand by anybody who's engaged in peaceful protest, anybody who's trying to exert their rights for free association and to have their voices heard. Obviously, the Iranian regime has a lot of problems. And as the President of the United States has said, the smartest thing for them to have done, it was true 2 months ago, it's true today, is for them to actually have a real negotiation with the United States about what we need to see when it comes to their nuclear program. I'll let the President speak to what we're going to do in the future, but we certainly stand with anybody across the world, including the Iranian people who are advocating for their rights. I'll take just a couple more questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Concerning Venezuela, how would you assure the Caribbean region that they will remain a zone of peace? Because some member states in the region are concerned.
Well, look, the President had a very productive phone call with the President of Colombia yesterday, and we continue to talk at all levels of government with a number of our friends in the Caribbean region. I actually think this is really good for peace in the Caribbean, because when you take away a major source of illegal cartel revenue, which is the cocaine, you think in your will government that it. I'll take one more question. Go ahead.
Mr. Vice President, thank you. On Greenland, do you have a message for European leaders? Many in Europe reject the idea that the island could be for sale.
Well, first of all,
footage at 4:30 showed her waving traffic by. Does this change anything? Or am I just trying too hard to absolve the woman of any wrongdoing? Okay, this is my.
All right, as the sun set.
Okay, this is my feeling. Give me the there's like a 4.5 minute or 4 minute 50-second Twitter video of it. I think my take from yesterday is still basically unchanged, but nothing new has come out yet. Somebody link it in chat. NYT with a better breakdown? Don't care. Don't want it. Don't need a breakdown. Just need the video. Okay. So my understanding is we don't have any footage before this point, okay? But there's a couple things that are happening here. So I believe, is this her wife or maybe just another person? But this cop right here, who's the one who ultimately kills the driver, it looks like he was having an argument with her, or at the very least the person back here, because this guy has it looks like his phone is out and he's recording. He's walking back from here. This lady's got her window down. I'm guessing she was arguing with him. I can't know. This is kind of guessing. And then she's trying to wave people through. Now, this truck here, this is an unmarked vehicle that ends up being an ICE vehicle. I think they're coming here to detain or arrest her. That's what it seems like, because they don't look like they're going anywhere trying to stop. Their lights are on. They hop out immediately. They stop decently far back. Like they're here to detain or arrest her. They tell her to get out, and then now at this point she wants to leave. I don't know if this guy, I'm guessing this guy probably radioed these guys or something. So she was probably involved in something before this. I don't know if it was blocking traffic or protesting or what, but they're probably here for that. And then at this point, he kills her. But so in terms of like, do they have the right to detain her or pull her over or pull her out of her car? My guess is yes. That's my guess. With a tad bit of charitability applied maybe on the federal side, but that's what it seems like leading up to this. But there's nothing here that we've gotten so far that she's been involved in that would warrant shooting at her as she drives away. I don't understand. Nothing has been presented so far that would justify that response. Even if she was involved in blocking traffic or whatever, you can't just murder people for blocking traffic when they're protesting. You can't do that.
Population.
Secretary Rubio, I believe, is meeting with the leaders of Denmark and Greenland next week. I want to say it is, but maybe.
Times footage from before. Why do you think the ICE officer shot? A little bit power trippy. Maybe he was already upset because of their earlier argument. Maybe he was already kind of triggered.
On Wednesday, in Minneapolis, a federal agent fatally shot a motorist, 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good. Trump administration officials said these were, quote, defensive shots, fired because the officer was being run over.
And a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over.
But our analysis of bystander footage filmed from different...
Wasn't she trying to ram the police officer? Absolutely not. It seems very obvious that what's happening, again, I'm guessing here a little bit based on what's going on before and after. It's one of those things where, like, it's like a fuck around, find out, where, like, you fuck around until the cops are like, okay, well, now get out of your car, we're gonna arrest you. You're like, no. And then you want to, like, drive away and leave. That's what it looks like is happening. Now that these guys have gotten out of the car and they're like, get out, we're arresting you. Does she
federal agent fatally
roll
shot
her window
a
up?
motorist?
No, she doesn't. But now she's like, okay, fine, I'll leave. And now she was like, she wants to leave. But, tries to run them over? I don't think so at all.
A federal...
It looks like she's literally, because their car is to the left, right?
On Wednesday in Minneapolis,
it looks like she's literally like, okay, well, I'm ready to leave. Bye.
A motorist.
It's very clear. And after she gets shot, the car literally rolls down the street. It seems very obvious that that's what's going on here.
Year-old Renee Nicole Good. Trump administration officials said these were, quote, defensive shots, fired because the officer was being run over.
And a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over.
But our analysis of bystander footage, filmed from different angles, appears to show the agent was not in the path of the victim's SUV when he fired 3 shots.
She hit the gas with the tires pointing at him. If her car tires didn't spin out, she absolutely would have hit him. I don't know if I see her tires spin out. I don't even know if tires can spin out these days, number one. Because the steering protection and everything on like any car made past the year 2010 is going to have all sorts of different steering protections and everything else. It doesn't look like the road is like especially icy or slick, such that it like the car can't even fucking drive. And then also, even if I were to grant literally all of that, the guy shouldn't be in front of her car. I don't think there's a compelling reason to.
Appears to show the agent was not in the path of the victim's SUV when he fired 3 shots at close range. Appears to show the agent bystander footage, filmed from different angles, appears to show the agent was not in the path of the victim's SUV when he fired 3 shots. Not in the path of the victim. So the agent was not.
Are we saying this here is the tire spinning out? Is that
the path of the victim's SUV when he fired 3 shots?
Even at that, I don't know if he would have actually, if she would have actually hit him. The tire slips as she goes from reverse forward. Maybe, yeah, but also as she's also turning while kind of like stationary too. I don't think so. And I don't know why, and there's no good reason for him to be standing in front of the car too. He had to put himself there as well. Destiny, it's front wheel drive. Honda Pilot is default front wheel drive. The front tires slip. You're not going to have a whole, tires are, It's hard to argue this because I've never driven this particular car before, but most of you in chat, 90% plus, are actually fucking car retarded, okay? Tire slipping is like, that's like old tech. Like generally there's like, I don't know if every car by default, at the very least the whole axle has like a slip protection or whatever now, but so many cars today will have protection on all the wheels to where you can't just spin, like to hold down the gas, the wheel won't spin, like the wheel just will stop turning because the car will turn off the drivetrain to the different, to the wheels or the axle sometimes. It's not like this is like spinning out, but you got a lot of weird things going on. She's switching from reverse to forward, and she's like turning the wheel like stationary. So there's going to be a little bit of like slippage here, but
path of the victim's SUV.
But it doesn't look like there's a ton. It's not like she's like it's not ABS. I'm not talking about ABS. ABS has to do with the ECU selectively braking and unbraking tires based on you trying to brake and stop the car to maintain traction. But there's also it was called ESP on Golf, electronic steering protections, where maybe the broad term is traction control, is when you're accelerating, it can also control gas to the power to the drivetrain or whatever, to individual wheels, or sometimes the axle as well.
He fired 3 shots at close range.
They slipped for a moment, but she had to let off the gas, otherwise the car would have kept going straight, or drivetrain features would pull e-brake. E-brake, what? No, it would just not send power to the wheel that had no traction.
Here's how...
I think it's also very telling that none of the officers seemed to pull a weapon, and that guy holstered it immediately, didn't go chasing her down.
SUV when he fired 3 shots at close range. Here's how events unfolded. Moments before the shooting, the victim's maroon SUV is stopped in the middle of the street.
Oh,
not
we have
in
this,
the
okay.
path of the victim's SUV when he fired 3 shots at close range. Here's how events unfolded. Moments before the shooting, the victim's maroon SUV is stopped in the middle of the street. Multiple unmarked federal vehicles are idling nearby. Secretary Noem alleged the motorist, quote, was blocking the officers in. Bystanders are blowing whistles and yelling at federal agents.
Go home to Texas!
Then, federal vehicles start moving toward the maroon SUV, with sirens and lights blaring. A federal agent films the scene on his phone.
That guy's footage is going to be very interesting if we ever get a hold of it, because he's got the whole argument beforehand as well. And I think that would actually heavily influence how people would view this. Because like if he has footage of him arguing with the driver, and he's like, ma'am, there's a serial rapist, illegal immigrant that we're trying to get out of this home. And she's like, fuck you motherfuckers, I hope all you fucking die, I'm gonna fucking run you over, I'm gonna fucking kill you, blah, blah, blah. Like, that would look a lot different than him recording, and he's like, you fucking cunt, get the fuck out of here, we're gonna get these goddamn Mexicans out of this fucking neighborhood. And she's like, no, I'm gonna stop you, you guys are evil. And he's like, I don't care what it takes, I'll kill every one of you if I have. Right, 2 extremes obviously, but I think the footage from beforehand would heavily influence at least public opinion, maybe jury opinion, maybe the criminal question in terms of his motivation and everything.
A federal agent films the scene on his phone. The driver rolls forward slightly, turning left, then stops and waves for others to go ahead. 2 agents exit this silver pickup and walk toward the vehicle.
Really? They're Asian? How can you tell?
Moments later, shots are fired. Let's look at the scene again more closely. This is the agent who shoots the driver. He walks around the car filming and disappears from view. Other agents pull up and order the driver to exit her vehicle. One of them grabs at the door handle and reaches inside. The SUV reverses, then turns right, apparently attempting to leave. At the same time, the agent filming crosses toward the left of the vehicle and grabs his gun. He opens fire on the motorist and continues shooting as she drives past. The moment the agent fires, he is standing here, to the left of the SUV, and the wheels are pointing to the right, away from the agent. This appears to conflict with allegations that the SUV was ramming or about to ram the officer.
Like, it might have potentially seemed or felt that way because the officer seemed like he was basically leaning on the car from the side, but it doesn't seem like...
President Trump and others said the federal agent was hit by the SUV, often pointing to another video filmed from a different angle. And it's true that at this moment in this grainy low-resolution footage, it does look like the agent is being struck by the SUV. But when we synchronize it with the first clip, the agent is being struck by the SUV. It's true that at this moment in this grainy low-resolution footage, it does look like the agent is being struck by the SUV. Low-resolution footage, it does look like the agent is being struck by the grainy low-resolution footage. It does look struck by the being struck by the agent is being struck by the SUV, being struck by the S, being struck by the S, being struck by the being struck. Look like the agent is being struck by the SUV.
Oh, it almost looks like it's an artifact of it appears that way because it seems like when he steps to the side, when he's moving, the speed at which he's moving looks to be identical to or very, very close to the speed at which the car is moving, which gives the impression of him moving that's what it looks like. But I don't know if there's a way to slow down this footage, but it looks like if you watch him, it looks like he's moving and the car is moving, but they're just moving at the same speed. Like and the illusion is that the car is pushing him, but
the SUV. But when we synchronize it with the first clip, we can see the agent is not being run over. In fact, his feet...
It might be also, too, maybe he has his... Can we tell him this?
Positioned away.
That he has his, like, one of his hands are on the car and the other hand is holding the gun. So as the car moves, he's kind of like getting pushed along or taken along kind of with the car. Maybe.
From the
Maybe it's the week after that. We'll continue to deliver some of these messages in private, some of them in public, but I guess my advice to European leaders and anybody else would be to take the President of the United States seriously. What has he said about Greenland? Set to the side the crazy overreactions that I've seen from the press and from certain people in Europe. What has the President said? Number one, Greenland is really important, not just to America's missile defense, but to the world's missile defense. Number two, we know that there are hostile adversaries that have shown a lot of interest in that particular territory, that particular slice of the world. So what we're asking our European friends to do is to take the security of that landmass. I'll leave that to the topic, and again, just pile of things. To talk about toning down the temperature, which I know the President is a guy who defended himself from being rammed by an automobile is guilty of murder. Be a little bit more careful. We're going to talk about toning down the temperature, which I know the President wants to do, and I certainly want to do. One of the ways we tone down the temperature is to have a media that tells the truth.
I thought we were going to get some accountability for our President, like the leader of the country, to tone down the temperature. My bad. We need the media to do it. Okay.
I encourage you all to do that. God bless you.
My bad.
Happy New Year, guys.
Breaking, what the fuck is going on with insider trading on Polymarket? Another potential insider on Polymarket displaced $15,000. Overnight, a brand new account started building a position on the market. Khamenei out as supreme leader of Iran by January 31st. Breaking. President Trump considers paying Greenlanders $10,000 to $100,000 per person to join the U.S. Today's White House press briefing had a 98% chance of running over 65 minutes until Karoline Leavitt abruptly ended it with seconds to spare. Traders on the no side made 50x in seconds.
In November of last year. And so I would encourage everyone to take a look at the website. It's quite well done. And thank you all very much. It's great to be back with you.
Thank you.
In November of last year. And so I would encourage everyone to take a look at the website. It's quite well done. And thank you all very much. It's great to be back with you.
Thank you.
Is that really abruptly? Doesn't she end most of them like this? I feel like most of them end like this. Yeah. Good conspiracy, though. Also, traders on the no side made 50x in seconds. It's only going to be people that placed a bet like very close to the end. It's not like those are your odds for the entirety of it. I don't know when the briefing started, but it was at about an hour long, so it started at 11:25. Is that around here? The odds are like 50-50, and they go up to like 80-ish. They plummet down here. I don't know what she was talking about or something, and then, but whatever. Bully Asmongold until he goes on unsub. Guys, bully Asmongold until he comes to San Antonio. We are so lucky. The only thing we can count our blessings for is like the general incompetency and idiocy and ineffectiveness of our current horrible people right now on the planet. Like the fact that Donald Trump is a fucking idiot is probably better than not, because hopefully it gives us a second shot at this fascist thing to not have it succeed. And then the fact that like Hassan is so scared to venture outside of Twitch, like even though he gets all this positive slurping in the mainstream media outlets because of his PR agency, he can't really capitalize on it. He's not able to leverage that in anything. And then the fact that Asmongold is too much of a lazy fuck to actually go do any podcasts is also really good for us. Jesus. I don't know if I can.
A controversial shooting by an ICE agent at a Minneapolis driver who may have been aiming her car at him. We'll get into all the legal details, and the left goes insane. I mean, truly insane.
I don't even understand. Why does he want to go to San Antonio to be on their podcast?
Over ICE. It's dangerous and it's wrong. We'll get into all of that. Also, President Trump makes a sort of strange executive order with regard to housing and another strange executive order with regard to military pay.
Is his Kippa thing, is it getting larger?
Get to all of that.
Is it like the stronger your Jew powers are, the bigger it gets? Is there like an appropriate size or? Okay.
And then came Candace Owens, and that she really drives people crazy. She drives them crazy. They were very angry that I didn't call her out for what she said about Israel possibly being involved with Charlie Kirk. Well, I didn't call her out because I was totally fine with those questions being raised, and still am. I'm sorry, but I am. I'm sick of this bullshit. I am allowed to have questions about what, if anyone, aligned with Israel or from Israel might have had to do with Charlie's death. And then,
damn. She was like almost mainstream, right? Megyn Kelly was mainstream media. No, she was on Fox News, wasn't she? Tucker Carlson was the largest news host in America. And now these guys are both fucking lunatics. It's crazy. Yeah, I remember she hosted the presidential debates once. That was the bleeding comment.
Is there anything stopping state and local law enforcement from conducting an independent investigation into this, even if the federal government does not want to have you have a joint investigation?
So, great question. We have asked for cooperation from the federal government. We were invited in to do a joint investigation on this initially. We continue to work with the federal government all the time on joint investigations. This is not something new, whether it be with the FBI or other federal law enforcement agencies. So we are accustomed to doing joint investigations. As the governor has mentioned, our force investigative unit within the BCA has a stellar reputation for doing quality investigations, for finding the answers to the questions that people have. There are so many questions out there that I know the public has from watching what's been shown on social media and regular media. And the goal for me would be to provide an investigation, preferably in tandem with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, because we work with them all the time and they are in they do have all the evidence in the original investigative notes and reports. We have none of that. They have shared none of that with us. We would welcome the opportunity to jump back in, to do that investigation, use our high quality investigators from the BCA to be able to do that with them, to find the answers that the public deserves. Without any of that information, without any of that assistance from the FBI or the federal government, we would be at a loss to be able to initiate and conduct a thorough investigation. For us to be able to do that, it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, without cooperation from the federal government.
How difficult would it be to file state charges without the cooperation of the FBI?
To be able to file state charges, we would need, again, a full investigation, which would include the opportunity to have been at the crime scene, to have had the opportunity to take a look at all the video and evidence that the FBI would have in their possession. I don't make any prejudgments about what happened yesterday. We can all see what we want to see on the videos and what we have seen in the media. That doesn't mean none of us, I will not, as a public safety professional, jump to any conclusions as to who is at fault in this. What I will say, though, is that unless we do that thorough investigation, unless we have access to all of that evidence, unless we have access to the agents that were involved in that, to any witnesses, without any of that, we would not be able to put together a quality investigation for any prosecutor to be able to make a determination as to whether or not someone should be charged with a crime.
I'm going to note on this, too, that no one less than Tom Holman yesterday said it would be unprofessional to pass judgment ahead of time. Now, the disconnect between what Tom Holman said and Kristi Noem said needs to be rectified by the federal government. I will note, too, this is a question I asked, not being an attorney of my team, and it will go to the family, that there will certainly be civil cases filed on this, and those will be filed in Minnesota court and be held in court. Corn?
What is standard operating procedure when a federal agent of any kind in Minnesota...
The most reasonable take I've seen, though, somebody said.
Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Janine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. We need to kill them.
In a video game. Jesus. She was probably quoting somebody.
Hi.
When you break up with, that I genuinely feel like when you break up with someone and you have a crazy ex, that was how it felt like being fired from the Daily Wire. Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, from the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, the Daily Wire, Andrew Clavin, my crazy ex-boyfriend, Andrew Clavin. The Daily Wire. Is that the Daily Wire? He does some stuff, the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. At the Daily Wire. And for Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. And from the Daily Wire. And the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. From the Daily Wire. Take the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire. Ben Shapiro. Dave Smith. The answer to this question might get you kicked off the Daily Wire. I had to laugh at that. That's really funny. The Daily Wire. And the Daily Wire. My psycho ex-boyfriend. Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Reagan Conrad. Jeremy Bourne. The Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Daily Wire. With the Daily Wire. And the Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Brett Cooper out at the Daily Wire. Daily Wire. The 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 Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Sign up for the Daily Wire. I got fired from the Daily Wire. We're like, she's done. She's toast. The Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Daily Wire. Ben Shapiro.
What's up with the women loving Candace Owens?
Fuck you. And the
I think it's before what I said. I think she covers a lot of
midget horse that you wrote in on.
She covers a lot of pop culture stuff, which probably brings people in.
And I was like, why are you so obsessed with me?
Link that video, please.
How many sets do you have left? Counting or not counting drop sets?
It's retarded. Stop. Do you see that FFT reached over 1 million sales? Hell yeah! It's a good game. And I think it holds up. I had fun playing it again.
I've been accused of many things over the years. I've been accused of being a thief. I've been accused of being a pedophile. Yes, that's true. I've been accused of scamming people. I've been accused of misappropriation, lying, cheating. Let's keep going. I've been accused of being a horrible content creator. I've been accused of being a terrible person. I've been accused of, I could keep going. I've been accused of pretty much anything you could think of. All right. I think the one thing I've never been accused of is rape, because I have been accused.
Okay. withdrawing the United States from international organizations, conventions, and treaties that are contrary to the interests of the United States. Which article for signing treaties and stuff, was that not the Congress, or am I wrong on that? Who has power to sign treaties? The president has the power to make treaties with the Senate's advice and consent, requiring a 2/3 vote for ratification. Destiny, you read this. This was posted today or yesterday. Did I read this yesterday? No. Mooten did. Okay. Retard. The 24/7 Carbon-Free Energy Compact, the Colombo Plan Council, the Commission for Environmental Cooperation, Education Cannot Wait, European Center of Excellence for Countering Hybrid Threats, the Forum of European National Highway Research Laboratories, Freedom Online Coalition. Bro. The Department of Economic and Social Affairs, the UN Economic and Social Council, International Law Commission, International Residual Mechanism for Criminal Tribunals, the UN Democracy Fund, the UN Energy, UN Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women. Okay. Gotta love the Roman numerals with the lowercase I. I mean, it's standard practice depending on how deep you get into things, using lowercase or uppercase.
How may I help you?
Oh, are you with this?
What's going on?
I was just going to ask a couple questions about home health care for somebody in their 90s.
We're not ready to answer questions.
Okay. You're not taking patients?
No, we're not taking patients.
Okay. All right.
It's free to go.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hi.
What are you guys doing here?
Asking about home health care services.
Look,
you're not asking
on home health care services. I know you. I know you.
I don't think you know me.
Yeah, I know you.
Okay, I'm Mahek.
No, I'm not gonna shake hands.
That's okay. That's fine.
You can record whatever you want.
Oh, I know. We're recording because I was assaulted.
I know you are just spreading a lot of bunch of BS.
King.
What's the BS?
You're talking about Somalis. I've seen you so many times in Fox News.
I've spoken about the issue in Minnesota or Minneapolis in particular.
No, listen.
I'm listening.
Listen.
I'm listening.
You are from India. You are not a white person.
I wasn't trying to pretend I was.
Listen. Get out of our house. You're not supposed to be here.
This isn't private property.
This is a private property.
It's not.
It's a private property.
I'm knocking on doors.
Look, we've got every right to be here.
No, you don't have every right to be here.
We have every right to be here.
Why are you guys spreading lies?
Wait.
We're not spreading any
Hold on
lies.
1 second.
Yeah, you guys are not supposed to be here.
Because
If you're
your
gonna-
last name is Cook doesn't mean that you're white. You are from India, and you are just spreading a lot of bunch of BS.
It's not a
Who do you
bunch of
think you are?
BS. Who do you think you
Who
are?
do you think you are?
Who do you think you are standing
you are,
here
too?
telling me that I can't ask?
Why are you coming to harass us?
We're not coming to harass anyone.
You guys looking for, you guys can go Department of
Listen, who give you this job to do it?
and then you guys can ask them how this
Who give this
operated.
job to do it? Who has You have no right to be here.
We have every right to be here.
No, you don't have no right.
We have every right to be here.
There's no ticket to harass. You said
You are harassing
we have
people.
We're not harassing anyone.
You just running around. You just go.
Just knock on the door. You guys are the ones yelling at us.
We're simply asking questions, and then you guys are trying to intimidate us.
You guys are healthcare.
You guys are trying to intimidate us right now.
You guys came to our office. You guys came to our office.
No, that's fine. You can ask questions. You guys are You guys are trying to intimidate us. You're telling us we're not allowed to be here.
To intimidate us.
Why do all of you have your phones out right now?
Yeah, because we wondered.
Why do you have to speak on?
For safety, for my own safety.
For our safety too.
No, you can record it.
You guys have no right to be here. You guys gotta leave right now. A bunch of BS. You need to leave. You need to leave right now. Move away.
Those guys
They're here to harass us.
Because your last name is Scoop, it's not your wife.
Look, we're peacefully here.
These ladies that spread a lot of BS about Somalis.
That's not true, and you know that. No, did you see my last video? Did you see my last video? I actually spoke to a really nice lady.
True. Can I purchase some health care? Hello.
From Somalia, and specifically, that's not true.
We're talking about fraud, not Somalis.
No, not at all. No, I actually.
We're talking about fraud.
You guys not go department of whoever issued license and then ask them how they deal with this.
We did actually.
You guys can businesses.
No, we actually. I asked about home health care rates and services, and just so you know, the last.
Why don't you go there?
We did. We actually spoke to somebody. We spoke to somebody
how
here.
they do review, how they inspect it. Why don't you go there?
We've done both.
Instead, you go here.
We've honestly done both. We've actually talked to the agency and then also talked to a couple of healthcare.
Who you for? Why are you spreading these lies?
What's the lie?
Because of you lies, you saying they steal money, they do this, they do that.
I never said you stole money.
Nobody steal money. You know, if you're missing one time sheet, you're gonna get citation, and you're gonna go.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So then,
but who said you're stealing?
Day one into our Columbus, Ohio fraud investigation. Nothing to see here except me being attacked. Does she get attacked later in the video?
Because every video you watch on the TikTok, whatever, you there. Everywhere. Lying, saying Somali people.
That's not accurate. You should look at my last video. It's actually for
no problem with Somalis. That's up to you.
The last video I posted was a very nice lady who actually walked through daycare system. That's not true.
A lot of BS.
Well, I think you're unhinged, so I'm not speaking you. You're respectful. You should go.
What the fuck is this phone? Or is it a battery? Or what is that thing? What is it? Looks like a phone because you got like the 3 lenses. What is this?
You're respectful. You should go look at the last.
It looks like a flip, a fold. Are the folds huge?
Video about a really nice person who sat down, treated me with respect.
Are there trifold phones now? Like the Chinese one?
And then I explained that.
Gee, bro, this thing is huge. This looks like a portable Not even. The portable batteries are smaller than this now.
Then why are you not respecting the community? Then you're saying all that lies.
Where's the lie?
Yeah, you just saying some bullshit that you're not even.
I think you're mistaken.
You don't know how we
If you guys are a legitimate business, you should be outraged by the fraud. But instead, you're attacking us because we're calling out fraud. Oh yeah, sorry, you're attacking my friend. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You're attacking my friend instead of just me. Okay.
If you investigate fraud, why don't you go to other people?
We're going everywhere. We're going everywhere.
No,
100%.
No, you are profiling Somalis and you're going to.
That's not true.
There's no way.
There's 34 home healthcare services in this building. Of course, we're going to be in a building with 34 home healthcare services.
Let me see one video of you guys going to.
I feel so crazy that people think you can just walk into an office suite and knock for health services. Like even in places that offer services there, I don't even know if it would be ordinary. Like I'm trying to think when me and Melina did like the therapy for our counseling, or even for I had to go to a therapist, because you have to have a psychiatrist that you have to see in person once for ADHD meds. I don't even think they have like places to do new patient intake. Like there's just like a person who would check you in for an appointment. You just go in. I don't think you would ever like, well, there might be some where you do this, but I don't know if I would expect to be able to just walk up to one of these random suites and knock them over like, hey, can you do like a new patient thing here? Like, it's just so it's so like low IQ. Like this is like a low IQ thing where you're like a monkey brought in from the jungle and somebody's trying to explain to you civilization and they're like, oh, so this is the building where there are offices for like healthcare providers. And you're like, oh, I should go knock and be new patient. They make me new. And it's like, well, no. There's like a process. You have to like go online. You got to call. No, I thought you said that building for healthcare. I should be able to go. And it's like, no. Well, we have like phones and shit. That's not, they don't do that there. They don't do like new patient requests or whatever. You would go online. Scam? Like, it's so stupid.
White business.
Well,
Or going to
because most of the
Indian business.
healthcare right
Or going to
here.
another business. Why are you going on Somalis? Tell me.
We have not been profiling. There's 34 here. We've knocked on the door of every 34 businesses
I don't
here.
know who is Owens here.
Your profile, you're attacking her for being.
Did you only have to do it once, or do you have to do reviews once or twice a year? Technically, I'm supposed to have an appointment every 3 or 4 months, but we just look at each other for 2 minutes. Then he's like, all right, well, cool, because I don't have anything to talk about.
One night we actually went through all the services and things like that.
She went to daycare the other day. She was trying to go forcefully into a daycare. You know the rules of daycare.
We're trying to expose fraud.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
If you do that, you just go to those who give the license and then ask you that question.
Yeah, we
how
have.
they operate,
Okay.
how they review it, how they inspect it. And then you go from there. You find out you don't satisfy what they tell you, and then you can say something. But you cannot come out and say, yeah, you're taking person. No, there's a rule.
We're simply asking questions.
And then
If you said no, I walked away, right? The minute you said no, I walked away.
Look, you're the ones following us and arguing with us.
You have 6 guys in a small hallway posted up waiting for us, and we come down and you're right back here telling like.
Yeah, I mean, we actually were walking away, so.
You guys.
The only people being harassed today
We're
are
not
us.
speaking to you anymore. We're done with this conversation.
Look, guys, the only ones being harassed today are
You
us.
have actually been very kind, so I respect you. I don't respect your friends. If you actually go through my social media, you will see me talk about fraud in Minnesota. Nothing about the community here.
Don't you know they reviewed that and then they don't find no for it?
You probably.
Imagine people started knocking my door. Destiny, I want to watch the stream. You stream here, don't you? Yeah, but you got to watch. I want to watch the stream. Aren't you a streamer? Isn't this a streamer's house? I want to watch the stream.
100% legitimate. That doesn't stop it.
It doesn't mean others aren't.
I didn't say there was fraud here. We're just asking questions. We're asking questions. We're asking questions of business owners. That's all.
You guys need to check. You want to report something? You go directly.
What do you think they should have done in this situation? Just not even engage. So the way that you deal with pesky people, you can say even good journalists, I guess, if you want to obscure stuff or you just want to answer, is the same way that you're supposed to deal with cops if you have the, if you feel like you've got the legal authority on your side. Their goal is to provoke a response. The ideal response should just be you have like a rehearsed or practiced line and you just say it over and over again. If you want more information, then you can go on our website and you can check everything out there, or you can call our corporate office and they'll, what about, are you doing fraud? It's like, if you like more information, go to the website. Call them there. You just repeat that over and over and over and over again. That's really what you should do, yeah? I'm not that these guys like fucked up or anything, but you should just repeat the same thing over and over again. Because all they're trying to do is find any line, any sentence, anything they can mine for propaganda or drama. Yeah.
What's going on? You don't have to just exaggerate the lies and just create all these guys.
Did you see my last video of a very nice family in daycare?
Starting from the president all the way down to you guys standing here. Just the same story.
You're not hearing me.
That's not fair.
It's not the same community.
That's what it is. That's what you guys are doing up there.
That is not good.
Yes, that's what it is. Why don't you go down to daycares and hold on?
We have.
We've gone to over 20 daycares in this
Can journalists be trespassed from private buildings? Yeah, of course. If it's a private building, anybody can be trespassed out, yeah.
city. I'm not lying.
Honestly, I think this is a pointless conversation.
It is. I mean,
Thank you guys for being kind.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Hey, in the news.
Yeah, okay.
Can I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
I'm a physician!
I don't care! We understand. We got EMS coming. I get it. Just give us a second.
Oh, stupid. These are ICE agents, bro. Physician. They don't know what that means. You're supposed to say doctor. You fucked up. You fucked up there.
Can I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
I'm a physician!
I don't care! We understand. We got EMS coming. I get it. Just give us a second. We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my fucking neighbor!
Does breaking down scenes like this really have any impact on how we should view the agent's decision making? Like, do we actually hold them to that standard of like by the millisecond decision making? Yeah, like yes and no. What we're looking for is if you're if you're a dishonest actor, then you're going millisecond by millisecond to try to pretend that the person could have perfect insight at the time. But if you're an honest actor, you're going frame by frame to see to try to understand what they were experiencing or feeling at the time. So if there is a breakdown millisecond by millisecond that shows, for instance, that like all 3 shots were fired when he was still in front of the car, we're probably going to feel a lot differently about him shooting there versus him shooting when he's on, if all 3 shots come from the side of the car, right? Because at the time, if a car is like driving in front of you and you start shooting, that might be more understandable than, well, if you're literally standing off to the side and it's going by you shooting, there's a difference there, I think. Somebody said this is why that one person was giving interviews. What is this?
President Trump says the woman was disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. Seems to have shot her in self-defense. He shared a video of the incident from a different angle. What's your response to that version?
Violently and viciously, bro.
Vance.
I mean, that's the only reason why I'm here. I don't think I'm the most articulate person. I don't think that I don't want to be here. But I knew that this would be twisted and it would be self-defense, and that's absolutely not what happened. But it's just my life is forever changed from having witnessed this, and I just can't let this narrative that it was self-defense go any further, because it's absolutely not what it was. And yeah, my neighborhood, my neighbors, we're all going to be pretty traumatized from this for a long time.
When in that video that you shared with us that I just played, the 34 seconds, you're obviously incredibly distraught, and there's a doctor next to you or near you. You can hear him saying, I'm a physician, I can help, and they say, no, we have our own medics. But the doctor is there offering to administer CPR, standing right there. I don't want you to relive what you were looking at when the horror of her death, but how did agents respond to him? Was there a speed and a desperation in trying to get any sort of assistance to her? Because it didn't sound like that from what you gave us.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him near, and they said they had their own medics that were on their way, which it was, I mean, I don't know, it was at least 15 minutes before the ambulance arrived, and then the ambulance couldn't even get through because ICE agents had all abandoned their vehicles in the road, so the ambulance couldn't get through, so they parked at the end of the block, and about 5 paramedics came in and examined her for, I didn't see this, but they were with her for a few minutes, and then they carried her limp body away by her limbs, not even on a stretcher. Just carried her down to the end of the block where they could get a stretcher because they couldn't get through with their ambulance.
She was shot 3 times in the head. Is that true? Do we have a confirmation on that? All 3 shots hit? Were all headshots? As a bus driver, I watch someone's wheels to gauge if someone is pulling out in front of me or if they're staying put. Really? I usually just try to look at like the whole vehicle and see if it's fucking moving or not, but maybe that's just me. Got him.
So,
what is this?
Respectfully, I cover a lot of protests and riots.
And a lot of people. I cover so many protests. You'd be shocked at how many people get charged and convicted with seditious conspiracy in the United States. He's about to say, I know what he's about to say. He's about to say, I cover a lot of protests and riots, and there's a lot of fake charges against protesters.
A lot of people try to protest and riot and occupy government buildings. Do you think that qualifies as trying to,
Oh, it was even stupid. They don't have plans to overthrow the government. Also, what is this comparison here?
Does it overthrow your government?
Why was I link this? Okay. I'm sure it was relevant to something we were talking about earlier. Okay. As paramedics, we're told in training to not believe anyone who says they're a doctor or nurse. I'm sure police are told the same. As a paramedic, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, but that's because my guess is going to be that if you're a paramedic, you probably already have the prerequisite training to do the basic survival actions necessary to sustain life until you either transport them somewhere or somebody more qualified shows up. But in a situation where all of that is absent, I don't know if the protocol should be or would be the same. Like if you're a paramedic, my guess is you guys are qualified in things like CPR or how to like move a body or a person or whatever, or how to like orient a body or to turn somebody over so they don't choke on their tongue or throw up or whatever, or stuff like that, or to check basic vitals. Or my guess is you guys have that training, so you wouldn't need a doctor there. You're just supposed to stabilize until you get them to a better treatment area, is my guess, right? I'm a paramedic on GTA roleplay with over 500 hours of server time. That guy is lying. Okay. $500 hours, he said. It seems like a huge liability to let random people come up and start fucking with someone who's injured. Yeah, I'm sure they must have some way of proving it or something though, right? I think I've been on planes before where they've done I don't think that's a meme, where they've called for, is there a doctor on board the plane? So I mean, how do they do it on planes? I feel like I'm almost positive this happened on a flight I was on before. I'm trying to make sure I'm not mixing this up with like a fucking movie I've seen. Dr. Mike did it twice? Okay. Do you have like a fucking doctor badge or something? Oh, no, yeah, I know this happens. I had a real life friend who told me she had a really guilty moment in life because she was at some festival or whatever, and I think she was like rolling on ecstasy, and there was like a medical thing that popped up, and she didn't feel like she could step up and say or do anything because it's like a thing that fucked with her mind, because she was like, I don't know if I failed my responsibility as an emergency responder, but the implication otherwise being obviously that she would have if she was sober, but... What do you mean? The charter said paramedics take priority. They'd always take priority over any random doctor or nurse. Well, if you know you have a doctor or nurse, a doctor or like a registered nurse should be able to do anything I believe a paramedic can do. But there's not usually a doctor on the scene, or like a doctor you know is a doctor, and they might not have the same tools or whatever as well, right? Maybe? I don't know. Okay. We are a meme, a trailer, and then we're doing the DGG awards, okay? What is this? Okay.
Do you hear something? Listen. Do you hear something?
Welcome to the Undertone Podcast, where we talk about all things creepy. I'm your in-house skeptic, Evie Babbage, and my believer co-host says he has a real treat for us today.
We're listening to 10 mysterious audio recordings from an anonymous email.
Oh my God. Are you implying there's hidden messages in it?
Let me play it back in reverse.
Holy shit, it's the sound effects from every Saw movie ever.
The next one. Let's find out.
Even if you're an ER surgeon from Johns Hopkins, gunshot wound clinic, or whatever, if you're on the street with a shot person, you're telling everyone around you to call 911. If you're a really good surgeon, you can save so many lives. There was a guy who... God damn it. I want to do a meme and I don't even know the clip. Oh! I found it!
To San Jose International Airport.
Look, this guy has a problem and he makes a whole ass... He builds a medical thing. The autism doctor.
He'll be fine.
Who are you?
Hello. I'm Dr. Sean Murphy. I'm a surgical resident at San Jose St. Bonaventure Hospital.
Can't be back here.
Oh, I need a knife. Where do you keep the knives people forget they're traveling with?
A knife? Sure. Anything else?
I do also need a narrow 6-foot tube and high-proof alcohol and gloves and baggage handling tape, but I'm going to get the alcohol from the duty-free store and the tube from the back of a soda machine.
Save my son's life.
He's doing a thing. Look, he's got all the medical knowledge. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry. For emergency services, obviously you're always going to call 911 because you don't have everything you need. But the important thing is there are fuck me. Listen, if you're a doctor, okay, close your mind for a minute, okay? When a human has experienced some kind of extreme trauma or some extreme medical event, I think the most important thing that you can do is to keep blood circulating in the body and to keep the person breathing, okay? Anything else, hopefully, can be solved afterwards. But those are like two things where if they stop, it really doesn't matter what you do. In 5 or 10 minutes, the person is gone forever, right? So things like removing obstructions to airways, or things like CPR to keep blood flowing if for some reason the heart isn't working or whatever, to keep oxygen coming in and to keep the blood, the brain oxygenated is like the most important. And these are things where like the minutes or seconds count. Like, so if, my guess is even if it's a gunshot victim, if you're a doctor, you don't have the tools to do surgery, but like if you can do CPR, if you can do anything to keep blood moving and to unobstruct airways, these are like your hugely life-saving important things to do until more professional treatment can be made available, whether that means you're at a hospital or you've got more qualified tools or whatever, but yeah. Blood circulating 100%. They don't even think it's worth doing breaths anymore. It's just blood to brain. Well, unobstructing airways is important. I didn't say breaths. I don't think they do breaths anymore as part of CPR. But if like an airway is obstructed, I think that's the thing you always want to try to do something as well, right?
What is that? Where is that coming from?
We should stop listening.
Why was this linked to me? Was it supposed to be epic, or do we care about this? Or?
What if we unleashed something?
It is 8:24. A nerve-shredding, audio-driven nightmare. Ooh.
You shouldn't have called out to her. It's what she wants.
The whole movie trying to diagnose a sound issue. Autistic doctor? Autistic doctor. True. Or like, this doctor is autistic versus this guy has fucking autism. That's the difference. True. My king house. Globalism has failed. Americanism will prevail. Thank you, U.S. Department of Labor, for this wonderful Big Brother statement of the day.